Welcome, Climate Viewer. This is Jim Lee from Climate Viewer News at ClimateViewer.com. And there have been many people passing laws around states in the United States of America to ban geoengineering. So I've been following these pretty closely, and I'm going to be covering them in detail because I want to see citizens engaging with their government. And obviously we all know about the Tennessee geoengineering ban. I'll be trying to locate videos for that. There was an Arizona hearing just recently. I have that one already downloaded. Going to be many of these coming up in the near future because I kind of want to review the state of the nation as it pertains to public engagement on the topic of geoengineering and legislation. And yes, that is meteorologist Jeff in the house. What's up, Jeff? That's my chief meteorologist at Climate Viewer HQ. Now, it's come to my attention that the Shasta County Board of Supervisors had a meeting on the 28th. And of course, that means that our favorite person in the world, the one, the only, Dane Wigington from GeoengineeringWatch.org made an appearance, and as a result, I have clipped out all the boring parts and rendered this video so that we can watch it in totality. Now, I want to start by saying this. If you think this is about the person, then you know me. Because clearly Dane and I do not see eye to eye. But for the sake of the purpose of this video is to, live up to my word, what I say, attack ideas, not people. So this will not be a video about Dane Wigington. This is a video about what he has to say and the merits of his arguments and what do we think of, the framing of this? What are the factual statements? And what do other people who came there have to say? So with that being said, let's jump into it.
This is a regular scheduled meeting of the Board of Supervisors. Today is January 28th. The time is 9 a.m. With that, we are going to move to R2. Receive a presentation from Dane Wigington regarding climate engineering operations and its impact on the environment.
That was the audio chat.
Myself. I'll give you a quick background as how this came up. Last year, I think it was late summer. I don't think it was quite fall, but I had a constituent reach out that said their child had come down with a very extremely rare type of cancer. And there's an organization called Wings of Angels, and because I was told that this rare form of cancer, there's actually 3 children below the ages of 6 in Shasta County that have it. So I went and talked to Dr. Moo, asked him to pull some data, what he could, and my thing was, and what I found was this type of cancer really only affects, for it to affect 3 children, it would really, the statistics would be, it would be like double the size of Sacramento for 3 kids to have that. And even that would be extremely rare. So to have 3 in Shasta County really bothered me. So it led me down a trail of really just understanding more and more about health and our environment and kids. And Mr. Wigington came to an Air Pollution Control Board meeting last year. At the end, it was a non-agendized item. He came and spoke in public comment. And I'll tell you, a lot of the boards we sit on, and we have an agenda item on this later, we all sit on 10 to, anywhere from 6 to 14 different boards. And some of these things we're listening to staff and it's like, okay, we take your word for it. You're in this space. But the air quality is definitely different. It's different. I've lived here since the late 70s, and it's different. Even our blue skies aren't as blue. So when he came up, I was really interested. I've never done any kind of research or deep dive into this since Mr. Wigington came up. I did watch a couple videos, and I said, hey, if you want to come up, I think it's a relevant topic. Well, then I found out that he has been here 10 or 12 years ago. And I haven't gone back and watched the archives of that meeting, but I think it's of public interest to know what is in our environment, and then also the discussion will be what's in our jurisdiction and what can we do about anything if this board so chooses. So with that.
And I think that's the central question here. What, if anything, can the Shasta County do about it? I'll be very interesting to hear what they say.
Mr. Wigginton, you have 10 minutes. Welcome.
Thank you, Supervisor Cry.
If you want to raise that up.
Yeah.
There's a button there. Don't touch that.
Same thing happened to me when I spoke at Jared Griffin's conference.
You start touching things, man, staff just jumps out of their chairs. This is
Mike
all
wasn't in the right
all
spot.
Duct tape and baling wire. It's getting fixed, though, in June, I'm told.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity, Supervisor Cry, and all the supervisors to try to understand what's happening in our skies better, why it hasn't been disclosed for obvious liability reasons. If we could start this with a 4-minute excerpt from our groundbreaking documentary, The Dimming, which we spent over $100K on, posted it for free the moment it was done. It's had over 25 million views on YouTube.
He spent $100,000 to make The Dimming. Y'all, I ain't never making a documentary. Look, I thought I was going to make a documentary, but bro, maybe one day. I don't know.
If we can roll that 4 minutes, I'll finish up after that. Is a lie. Official sources continue to claim that the jet aircraft trails, which linger, spread, and fill our skies with sun-blocking haze, are just condensation. But that narrative is a lie. Atmospheric particulate testing has now concluded.
That's an aerodynamic contrail. That's not coming from any. I mean, I'm just saying, like, I'm gonna react along with you. All I did was just like get the audio levels right and cut everything out so that it all fit together. But yeah,
Exclusively proven that
that's an aerodynamic contrail. You can clearly see it. It's from wingtip to wingtip, and it's got the rainbow effect. It's not even from the engines.
jet aircraft dispersed trails and haze in our once deep blue skies is not condensation, as we have been told.
And I think we can all agree that is hell on earth. That looks like hell on earth right there. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that sky.
They are absolutely not contrails. Contrails do not linger, dissipate, and go into cloud coverage, period, in the report.
Who was that? Back that up. Who the hell was that?
They are absolutely not.
U.S. Air Force Brigadier General, retired former tactical weather reconnaissance pilot, and he really is saying that contrails do not turn into clouds, that contrails do not spread out and turn into cirrus clouds. Okay. Weather reconnaissance pilot.
Contrails.
This is going to be tough.
Contrails do not linger, dissipate, and go into cloud coverage, period, in the report.
I kept saying to people, you know, what is this? Because now the sky is no longer blue, it's starting to turn gray. And what I found was a lot of people were pretending it wasn't happening. It was kind of like it was not socially acceptable to do, you know, we're all going to pretend this is not really happening. And I thought, oh, this is very bad.
Prior history has proven that we have used weather back in the Vietnam conflict. Suddenly, you don't take a weapon off the table that was able to provide good data, provided a good reason for it to be used at that time. Should you expect that it is available on demand to have the ability to modify weather? Absolutely, within this country and others.
because we're
I mean, no, we've covered at length the Vietnam War and Operation Popeye, the weather warfare over China, weather warfare claims by Iran. Nobody's disagreeing that weather warfare is a thing, but planes making clouds hardly classifies as weather warfare. I mean, am I missing something here? Let me know. Let me know in the comments. I'm going to be objective. I'm not going to pull, punches, and I'm not going to like attack characters. This is just purely, we know that weather warfare is a thing, has been a thing, but what does that have to do with American Airlines, Delta, Southwest, planes making clouds? What does that have to do with weather warfare? Let me know in the comments. I don't understand that part. Yes, it blocks out the sun. We hate that. But that doesn't seem like weather warfare to me. Now, I will counterpoint that. That Dr. Arnold A. Barnes Jr. from the U.S. Air Force Phillips Laboratory, you can see this on weathermodificationhistory.com, he did say that the U.S. military could create contrail-cirrus, create/suppress contrails/cirrus clouds on demand using carbon black dust, and that they would do that for the purposes of blocking out spy satellite optics and increasing nighttime operational capabilities. Like in Desert Storm and Iraq, we could block out the moonlight, and we had night vision goggles. They did not, so making clouds makes sense in that sense. But it's not the typical kind of weather warfare we're thinking about, where you're making hurricanes and tornadoes and tearing crap up, or flooding out someplace, or creating drought intentionally. Although the drought thing might be a thing. That would be the only one I would think of, because overseeding is a form of weather warfare.
talking about a very expensive global spraying program that involves all, if not almost all, sovereign nations.
We have government documents, Senate documents, patents, military documents. We have film footage of them turning dispersions on and off with nozzles visible. We have lab tests from all over the globe.
That clip right there that you just saw is actually
from the emissions from aircrafts. We had
turning dispersions right on and off.
That's actually from a lee wave, and somebody actually was able to geolocate this and show that it was caused by a lee wave or a leeward wave behind a mountain. So that there's actually a wave going up and down like this. It's a standing wave. It's caused by mountains, and that was what was causing that. But hey, what do I know? I could be wrong. They could be wrong. Maybe it was just, putting dashes up there saying SOS.
With nozzles visible. We have lab tests from all over the globe verifying.
But they found it on satellite also.
Elements named in climate engineering patents are showing up.
We have collected samples directly from the emissions from aircrafts. We have identified particles in there and have shown nanoparticles of these metal oxides that are damaging to biological tissue and affect human health.
Elements like aluminum, barium, strontium, polymer fibers, all of which are highly toxic, all of which are being absorbed by the entire web of life, including us.
I know enough to know that we're talking about serious risk, and serious risk to your health. Everything I see.
This is a great shot right here because you can actually see the carbon black in it. Whenever the sun starts to go down, you can actually see the black soot that is the primary cloud condensation nuclei that comes out of jet exhaust. Inside that black carbon soot is all the metals that Dane is talking about. So you can clearly see it illustrated. When the sun is going down, you will notice that they start to turn black as opposed to being bright white clouds coming out of planes. So interesting that, that's in there.
In terms of the pattern, says there's a war going on covertly.
Climate engineering fallout is completely contaminating our waters, our soils, our crops, and every breath we take, thus impacting every aspect of our health. Geoengineering particles are nanoscale. So small, they go straight through our lung lining, into our bloodstream, and adhere to cell receptors like a plaque. Once absorbed, they are almost impossible to expel from our systems.
The layer was filled with these nanomaterials, and that was our first evidence that this is, that these nanomaterials are directly associated with the emissions from these planes.
We're simply asking people to investigate the facts and to stop believing the official denial.
This is an intentional research area with unknown purposes.
We need our military personnel, all branches of the service. We need all of their help. We need the answers to get to the bottom of this national security problem.
Now, I'd just like to point out for the record that I have watched this entire documentary, and appeal to authority because somebody happened to be a general or any of that, you still have to have evidence. And I didn't see anything that really shook my world that I hadn't heard before, and I certainly didn't see anything that changed my mind. But what do I know? The day we all agree is the day we could all be wrong.
I never wanted this job. Never. This is not what I ever imagined doing for the last 20 plus years of my life. But if we can't inhale without breathing in what's being dispersed in our skies, how is that not an immediate priority? Everyone we have tested, hair, blood, urine at GeoengineeringWatch.org is packed with the exact same elements that we know is being dispersed in our skies. GeoengineeringWatch.org paid over $100K total in testing. A National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration flying lab with top scientists in it, and a private jet aircraft testing lab at our expense to test what heavy aircraft are emitting in our skies. Those tests.
Wait, so did the film cost $100,000, or did the flying lab cost $100,000, or did the film plus the lab cost $200,000? Bro, you rich.
Tests were processed at Rensselaer Polytechnic University in New York, world-renowned lab. We found exactly what we knew we would find as a dispersal from these aircraft, starting with aluminum nanoparticles. For those that don't know, aluminum is toxic to all life forms, period, and it does not exist in the environment in free form, naturally, always bonded to other elements. If you find free-form aluminum, it has been mined and refined and dispersed. We have up-close photographs of these aircraft, nozzles, visible retrofit nozzles on the wing pylon mounted aimed into the exhaust jet stream to make this look like, quote, condensation. What brought me into this battle, I work for Bechtel Power, the world's largest engineering firm. My home was on the cover of the world's largest renewable energy magazine. I have solar, wind, and hydro. And when I was losing 50% plus of my solar power from whatever these aircraft were emitting, I knew that could not be condensation. I began to test my precipitation, didn't want to find what I found, aluminum, continued to test, and I went from 7 parts per billion on an initial test, which was already high given a filtered forested location where I lived. Over 18 months, those tests went as high as 3,450 parts per billion of aluminum. That is highly toxic rain. This is contaminating soils, waters, root systems, and we have official agencies telling us it's just the beetles killing our trees. No, that's a symptom. My father was an arborist. I know a bit about trees. I've done 6 habitat restoration programs working with state and federal entities, CAL FIRE, USDA, managed all those programs myself. Our whole forest is dying. And again, there are many causes. I'm not saying climate engineering is our only issue, but when we have this much particulate matter being dispersed into our skies, we have worked directly with University of Minnesota, an internationally recognized agricultural institution. We've done hundreds of lab tests there. And the extrapolations from the amount of material in the precipitation over that state projected globally indicates something in the range of 40 to 60 million tons of nanoparticles are being dispersed into our skies annually. Why no disclosure? Because there's a federal gag order, an illegal federal gag order on the nation's weathermen, National Weather Service and NOAA. Why in the world would you gag the weathermen if you didn't have something very big to hide? Had a NOAA scientist state to my face, we all know.
So Renette was in here earlier, and she was bringing up that federal gag order, and we were in the middle of some, let's just say, investigations. And interestingly enough, when we got into it, their lawyers actually because I said there is no federal gag order. Now, this is, pretty much where it comes from. It's, Weather Service employees tethered by illegal gag orders. Public employees for environmental responsibility put this out. Special counsel asked to reverse recent raft of blanket non-disclosure policies. That the National Weather Service Employees Organization and Public Employees of Environmental Responsibility, PEER, they contend these gag orders are illegal. But when Renette Senham's lawyer actually contacted NOAA about this, they could find, neither through personal interviews or otherwise anything about a gag order. So I don't know whether this, gag order even is real or not. But that's the source of it. The other thing that's really interesting is he starts out by saying that, let me go back here real quick and bring up his website real quick, GeoengineeringWatch.org. And you see, Contrail, where is it at? High bypass turbofan jet engines, geoengineering, and the contrail lie. So he basically says it's just condensation trails, but the condensation trail is a false narrative. This is 2017. So Dane contends that contrails do not exist. There is a problem with that. And I understand that, people, yeah, Mick West also debunked the gag order. I looked into it. We looked into everything. I mean, tried to find any kind of legal anything on it, or anybody would state that there is a gag order, but regardless, came up empty. Now, interestingly enough, Dane's main proposition is that basically planes cannot, real quick, hold on, I want to make add as moderator. And there you go, Renette. Now you got a bright blue name. You should be able to post links too now that you're a moderator, just so you know, Renette. But anyway, so he says contrails don't exist, which is kind of at odds from where he started, because as you know, he stated just now, he doesn't believe they're contrails, and he started out believing that this is all, climate engineering. Well, riddle me this. This is from our Telegram chat, and I posted this on our Telegram chat for a reason, because it comes straight from Dane Wigington, Shasta County, California in 2007. Diminished solar charge capacities due to persistent jet contrails. I'm not making this up. This is the original document from Dane Wigington. Read it yourself. Anybody wants a copy of this, I'll publish it on the web or whatever. But this is where Dane started. DaneW@Shasta.com by Dane Wigington. Persistent jet contrails. So keep that in mind as we're watching the rest of this. Just saying. Okay. Somebody from X just said that the gag orders were was related to collective bargaining. Misinformation said that. Hey, misinformation, hit me up with a DM on X real quick, and if you got anything on that, I would love to see that, because I know you got good intel. But this is where Dane started, so that we're all on the same page. Persistent jet contrails were blocking his off-the-grid home and his solar uptake. Now, I mean, this is all completely, seems pretty realistic. You know what I mean? Where he started, where he's at right now, we disagree on a lot of things, but saying that contrails don't exist when you were saying the exact opposite, I think is pretty disingenuous. I mean, at least mention the fact that, my mind has changed over time, or why your mind has changed over time. I think that would probably be helpful for a lot of people but you clearly believe that contrails are real when you start.
This is going on. We have no First Amendment protection. We don't know what to do. And again, to live in a society where this can go on over our heads and nobody notices it is shocking to me. It's always been shocking to me, and I will never, ever relent in this battle.
It's not shocking to me at all. I mean, most people are like this all day long. I mean, dude, I pass kids on the way to work every morning standing at bus stops, and they are all like this. I mean, hell, they come over to my house and they're like this. There'll be 3 of them lined up on the couch and they're like this. Got tech neck. Remember taco neck syndrome? The Taco Bell thing? They get tech neck. My wife says I had tech neck. That's why I had a headache. Anyway.
Because it's intolerable for me to live under toxic skies with this raining down on us. And again, I'm not denying all the other forms of anthropogenic damage to the planet. But when we have a system that's designed not to show this particulate matter, and it is designed not to show it, and I know that I've been in high-level EPA meetings in Sacramento arranged by congressional reps,
this is true.
Top EPA officials told to my face the entire system is rigged, designed to show combustion particulates only, and generally nothing below PM10, 10 microns.
That is also true.
Occasionally PM2.5. We're talking about particles that are unthinkably smaller. You can fit 100,000 nanoparticles across the width of a single human hair.
Yes.
They're completely bioavailable. So when the system is designed not to show this mountain of nanoparticulates that's raining down on all of us, what could be more important than to deal with this issue? I've had emails from one of the state's top biologists.
I completely agree with this line that he's saying right here, that our government does not even test for nanoparticles at all. I mean, they just don't. They don't test anything below PM 2.5. They collect them in wet socks with the EPA's air quality now. They don't tell you what those chemicals are, so you really can't source them. And so we're talking about 2.5 microns. 10 microns is generally what is standard operating procedure for most air sampling that the government does. Anything below PM 2.5, once you start to get into the nanometers, to give you an example, 2.5 microns is 2,500 nanometers. Am I doing that right? It's 1,000. Anyway.
State of California,
yeah,
dealing with the Delta smelt issue, the endangered species, and he was finding aluminum nanoparticles adhered to their gills. And every time he tried to bring it up, he got a boot put over his neck. Top former Fish and Game official here in Northern California, Jane Vorpagel, I know personally. She got a boot put over her neck every time she tried to bring up this exact contamination behind Shasta Dam, now flowing down the Sacramento River. I've been to a closed-door meeting with Reading Environmental Waste on the condition of confidentiality and asked where could all this aluminum be coming from that's flowing down all the tributaries and the Sacramento River after every single precipitation event. They have never disclosed those tests. Is it not up to all of us to deal with this biggest hole in the bottom of the boat before we have nothing left to salvage? Again, this is destroying the ozone layer, disrupting the hydrological cycle. On the fires, I gave presentations back as far as 2014, 2013, that this would happen if these programs continued. I met with Governor Newsom, then Lieutenant Governor, 2014, full presentation in his office at the Capitol. He knows this is going on, has done exactly nothing. First full-page ad, GeoengineeringWatch.org put it in the Record Searchlight when it was still a newspaper. I'll finish with this. 2008, everything that I said would happen has happened, is happening. It couldn't not happen, and I based that decision on data. Thank you.
Thank you. So we have some public comment. We'd like to take a seat. We have over 10. I think we have.
It's interesting also that he brings up, talking about the EPA and PM 2.5, PM10, not testing for these things. In 2015, I actually testified in Washington, D.C. at the EPA hearing, August 10th, I believe it was, 2015. And I invited Dane to come to Washington, D.C. and testify. And instead of coming, he actually told everybody that I was an EPA shill and that I, was basically saying that that geoengineering wasn't occurring, that it was just jet fuel, and that I was an EPA shill, and did not take his opportunity to tell the EPA to their face what he's telling Shasta County. I find that odd.
12 or 13, I'll call these up. If you could please just get in queue, 2 minutes apiece, and then we'll bring it back for some questions or board discussion. Jeff Gorder, Lori Bridgeford, Laura Hobbs, Dolores Lucero. Those are our first 4. If you could please get in queue, I would appreciate it. It'll keep the meeting moving.
Public commentary period. Grab your popcorn.
Increase the wait time in between.
Kevin, could you do something about your mic? We really can't hear you.
If I lean forward, maybe because Supervisor Plummer yelled into his, it scared staff. All right, go ahead.
Good morning, Board. This presentation reminds me of why Matt Plummer's strategic plan is so important, and the strategic plan that Supervisors Long and Plummer have been touting. It will help the Board focus on priorities to the county. I think, how many of you have heard that geoengineering is a priority to the citizens of Shasta County? I'm sure none of you have. If you talk to 1,000 representative citizens in Shasta County, the idea of geoengineering as being something that the board should focus on would not even surface. And the reason I say this is there are opportunity costs. Every time the board brings forth an item, you're losing the opportunity to focus on the priorities of the county. Mental health treatment, homelessness, public safety. This is highly, highly, highly unlikely to be true. This is rebutted by a most reputable climate scientist. Mr. Wigington has been saying this for 10 years. It's going to come out. It's going to come out. This is a worldwide conspiracy involving all nations of the world, tens of thousands of military pilots and other airline pilots, and yet no evidence that this is occurring. Nobody's come forward. It just isn't going to happen. Is it possible? Yes, but why are we focusing on this? We could put people up here and say vaccines cause autism. We could say the COVID shot is killing people. Are we going to hear from climate scientists who will say this is all bunk? Is Dr. Moo going to get up and specify what the public health implications of this are? You're wasting the public's time. Let's get Matt and Alan and their strategic plan and focus on priorities. Thank you.
Lori Bridgeford.
Now, that's a pretty common, belief, like, honestly, for people who, like, myself, like Dane, for that matter, for anybody who's watching this, clearly, geoengineering is a concern. But if you went and did a survey of the public, what do you think the numbers? Let me know in chat. Let me know in comments if you're watching this after the live stream. How many people do you know, the normies, that actually care about this topic, that even know about this topic? Like this gentleman just said. Agree or disagree with him, he is right. When he said, if you polled 1,000 people, how many would know about this or even care? That is a problem. Really, it is. They just don't care. Motivating them to care takes some effort. How do you motivate people? You tell them how it impacts their life. So if you can't tell people how it impacts their life, you're really not going to get anywhere. Breaking news on that NOAA gag order. Shout out to Missed Information. Ask and ye shall receive. So credit where credit's due. Let me give my boy a shout out here real quick. That's at MIZDINFOR MIZD IMZD information. The NOAA gag order. We found it. Thank you, Missed Information. I knew if I asked him, we would send it. And not only did he send a screenshot, he sent the original paper. So I'm going to drop that in chat right now. I think we've debunked the NOAA gag order because it was about memorandum of understanding between the National Weather Service and the National Weather Service Employees Organization concerning ground rules for bargaining over a term collective bargaining agreement. This is about money. This is between a union and the agency, and it is a gag order / NDA. For when they have negotiations, it will be kept confidential. That is not, the National Weather Service is not allowed to talk about the secret geoengineering program. Damn, that's a keeper. Shout out once again, missed information. Thanks for being in chat, brother. And I will bookmark that right there at the top of my research archive. I want to put that at the top of the to-do list right now, actually. Good shout out there. And I'm going to go drop that over in Rumble chat because those poor fools, man. Restream still hasn't fully supported Rumble, so props to Matt Bornong on the gag order fine. Hey, and giving credit where credit is due, even better. Everybody see that in chat? Matt Bornong found the original NOAA gag order, and it is about money, not about weather. Well, and another one gone, and another one gone. Another one bites the dust. I'm glad we put that one to rest. But yeah, we did. We hunted and hunted, and nobody at NOAA could tell us anything about not being like, what are you talking about? That's not even a thing, because it wasn't. All right.
Followed by Laura Hobbs, followed by Dolores Lucero, followed by Don Duckett.
All right.
And again, this is not about Dane. This is about the facts. Facts don't care about your feelings. If you think the facts care about your feelings, get over it. Get over it. Nobody here cares about your feelings. This is about facts. We're going to objectively listen, and we're going to decide what's true, what's not. We'll laugh, we'll cry and we'll laugh, and we'll break it down.
This is exactly why things don't get accomplished. This is absolutely a public health issue. It's agriculture. It's soil being ruined. We're breathing this in. If
Rosalind Peterson would have made that argument, and I looked up to Rosalind Peterson. Rosalind Peterson, agriculturedefensecoalition.org, rest in peace. She was very much about the pollution aspects, and that's what she focused on. So shout out Rosalind Peterson. We should care about the pollution that's coming down. The government should be testing for it, period.
people have not seen the dimming, it's 2 hours, it's free to watch online. And I think he's up to 25 million views. He's been doing this for 20 years, long time. And I would suggest that he becomes some kind of an ambassador to interface with public health, Dr. Moo and his team, because this is impacting, Kevin Cry, what you said, the children, the cancers, the lung cancers, all these issues and problems with immunity. And I'm just concerned the grocery sales will empty if you look at the global picture of the damage, the harm. We had the chem fog over the holidays. That was a nice thick mist for the whole planet.
Okay, I can't with this. So the grocery stores are going to be empty because of the chemtrails. And then the chem fog that we had over the holidays. Dude, I was so sick of hearing and watching the videos about chem fog.
And yes, there's patents for that kind of a thing. It's been happening since, gosh, Vietnam War, Project Popeye and all the rest. They're capable of weather warfare. And so I would like to see, and I think he's done, 494 Global Alert News episodes. I highly suggest people, if you have not heard them, try to listen to the last 4 in the month here of January with the LA fires and the smart meter issues. You know, those smart meters can start on fire, and there have been lawsuits on that. Not only public health issue, the dangers of EMF, radiation on the schools where kids are at, and the smart meters and all the rest. So I would highly suggest that there be some way of incorporating Dane to have more frequent presentations rather than the one he last did in 2014. This is just astronomical, and for the people that are in massive denial, I'm sorry, it's bad news. It's harsh news. It's stuff you really don't want to understand. But look at the GMO, the glyphosates, sterilized soils, and I can't thank him enough for the dedication and sacrifice he's made.
Okay, that was all over the place. I don't know if it's just me. I mean, dude, that was just too much. I mean, she jumped from smart meters to GMOs to glyphosate. Yeah, that was interesting.
Laura Hobbs, followed by Dolores Lucero, followed by Don Duckett, followed by Christian.
Good morning, supervisors. I appreciate this presentation. I agree with everything the presenter spoke about. We need to be aware that the air that we breathe has consequences, and we can no longer just, quote unquote, trust the science. And I'm saying that as a scientist. So we've been misled too many times. It's time to actually be aware that there are problems. One interesting study they found in the whiskers of mountain lions, they found high content of mercury. Now, where did that mercury come from? It wasn't in something just that they ingested. They can say with humans, well, maybe it was from your dental fillings, maybe it was from a vaccine. Well, these are wild mountain lions. How do they get that? I think it's coming from the atmosphere. And Yosemite won a lawsuit. They actually took this to court, and they're no longer allowed to fly these airplanes over Yosemite that produce and pump out these toxic chemicals. So why can't we do the same thing here? We can and we must take control over our sovereignty and our skies here in Shasta.
Now, I looked this up earlier, because when I was editing it together, I heard this part, and I was like, what? And I cannot find anything about Yosemite banning flights over Yosemite. Am I just missing something here? Is she talking about the national park? I mean, I can find nothing on this. Somebody, please let me know what I'm missing. Yosemite banned the flights. They won a lawsuit.
Shasta County, and I encourage you to do so. Thank you.
I'm gonna Google it in the background.
Dolores Lucero, followed by Don Duckett, followed by Christian, followed by Brad. If you can, please get in queue.
On this item, I have my own opinion, and I don't follow anybody. So I'm going to give you my opinion. My opinion is I do believe there are toxic things they're dropping on us. I have a friend in Los Angeles who actually dated one of the guys who actually gets on those planes and sprays. She said that his life is always in danger because he can't talk about it. They're always watching him to make sure he never talks about it. And it is toxic what they're spraying us. So I do believe that because my asthma kicks in when they do spray, it gets worse. So I always had asthma all my life, and I'll tell you, when they do spray, my asthma kicks in worse. But I do agree with the one who did the presentation. I believe because I do my own study, and I do know people, like I said. My friend actually dated a guy who actually worked for the company or for the government who actually gets on those planes and sprays. There's no need to spray up in the sky.
She dated a guy who, what? Come on, man. That's not a thing. Good link there, misinformation. Coastal fog linked to high levels of mercury found in mountain lions, study says. How about that? Marine fog brings more cooler temperatures to the area. Researchers have discovered elevated levels of mercury in mountain lions, the latest indication of neurotoxin carried in fog deposited. And I'm willing to bet that is from all of the shipping. Jeff and I actually had a talk about this earlier. Marinetraffic.com. And if you just look at marine traffic any day, what you'll basically see is all of the international shipping tankers, which are No pictures? No pictures on these? What's going on? They want my ad blocker might be doing a number on the website, but yeah, if you look out here, crude oil tanker, they're up here in Redding. So San Francisco, is obviously a port. This is probably the case. I mean, when you have shipping tankers, it's that damn fog again. Coastal fog linked to high levels of mercury. Bring in the freaking links today, bro. Just keep firing them off, man. I need to know this stuff. We all need to know this. Here, I'll drop that one in the chat. Mercury and the whiskers brought by the fog. Them darn fogs. And over here for chat, Rumble chat too. Let's get back to the video. We got a long way to go.
There's nothing up there to spray, but for that spray to come down on the people. Why are they messing with the sky? The sky should be natural. There shouldn't be tampering with the sky. The people are getting actually poisoned by the spray. And when that happens, every time, if you notice, your flowers, your roses, they get black. Everything dies. I didn't have anything grow this last year. I even grow strawberries every year. Nothing grew. They were all dead.
You're doing it wrong, girlfriend.
So I do believe that. Not because we have different, even if we have different opinion, I make up my own mind. So that's my opinion.
Thank you.
I mean, everything's growing fine here in South Carolina.
Brad,
I don't know what it's like in
Jim
California.
Burnett, if you can please get in queue, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Morning, Board. Dawn Duckett here. This is like deja vu. I was clerking Planning Commission back in the day when Mr. Wigington tried to peddle this junk science on Shasta County, the Air Quality Board, the Board of Supervisors, and Planning Commission. Much of the science and data analysis that was done in the movie The Dimming has been debunked, much like the Mesa pattern of fraud. And, I just would urge the board to focus on matters that are within their jurisdiction that they can fix. If you were to fully go down this rabbit hole, how in the world would you enforce such a thing? Are you going to buy fighter jets and put those in your budget for code enforcement to fly up and enforce no contrails over Shasta County? I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Oh, let's go, chat. That is exactly what I've been saying all this time. This woman, G status. Big old G status, all right? How are you going to enforce it? What are you going to do? Even if they passed a law in Shasta County, forget Shasta County, in California, in Tennessee, what are you going to do? Are you going to fly up there with fighter jets and ground the planes? And if, the claims are true that they're all military planes anyway, you're going to use what? Local National Guard to try to ground a military jet? First of all, the FAA Act prohibits any state from interfering in interstate commerce, so that would be a big problem. You cannot stop planes from flying around, and you certainly can't go up with fighter planes and, force them to come to the ground so you can inspect them for pumps and pipes. That's not a thing. So we have to be realistic at least. And I think that's worth a replay right there.
Jurisdiction that they can fix. If you were to fully go down this rabbit hole, how in the world would you enforce such a thing? Are you going to buy fighter jets and put those in your budget for code enforcement to fly up and enforce no contrails over Shasta County? I mean, it's just ridiculous. Also, in response to what Dolores said, I'm a hobbyist orchid keeper, and this year I had a record. Every single one of my plants bloomed twice, which is almost unheard of. My next door neighbor has a little hobby garden, feeds our whole neighborhood. So, I just am not convinced.
So I was right. That lady's just doing it wrong. I mean, she lives in California too, and she's like, "Look, I had record flowers, and my neighbor's, little backyard homestead is popping off. So we live in California in Shasta County, and all our flowers and our food are great."
That there's any validity to this, and having this on the agenda today has opened up a Pandora's box, and now we have new people that will be here at every meeting filling it up with contrail conspiracy theories. Thank you.
Christian, followed by Brad G., followed by Jim Burnett, followed by John Knight.
This reminds me of John's, the Jews are creating mosquitoes to vaccinate our population.
Did he just say the Jews?
Dane is correct. Carbon is a huge problem.
He just said the Jew. What? What did he just say?
Thank you.
I gotta hear that. Yeah, I'm like
followed
going.
by Brad G., followed by Jim Burnett, followed by John Knight.
Bro in chat, plants need Brondo. It's the thirst quencher. Oh, chat, my God. It's got the electrolytes. I think that Brenda didn't give her plants water, and she was feeding them Brondo.
This reminds me of John's, the Jews are creating mosquitoes to vaccinate our population. Dane is correct. Carbon is a huge problem. And jet airliners are part of that issue. That is affecting our climate and creating climate change. Something that most of you will deny is even in existence.
I think we got a triggered leftist climate cultist up here. I think he's implying that the board is predominantly Republican, is what I'm sensing, and he just accused the board members of denying climate change after saying that the Jays are creating mosquitoes to infect their.
But Dean has been proven. In fact, his case was thrown out of court on its ass. In fact, the gobbledygook that's being presented here has a real purpose. And basically, it goes like this.
Jace, I want you to behave. We will not misgender they, them on this channel, okay? You be nice. Okay, Jace Ventura? Be nice. Be respectful. Attack ideas, not people. This person's ideas sound pretty crazy right now.
Conspiracy theory offers people a solution. It gives a way for them to channel their anxiety, their fear, into something that they might think is reality. Far from it. So, yeah, this board might want to consider canceling the $100,000 that's given to United to spray us. You guys use conspiracy theory all day long to try and divide this community while flushing millions of dollars down the toilet doing so. It's not only almost criminal, but it's a joke.
Sorry, Brad, Jim Burnett, John Knight, Tim Saunders.
Dane Wigington is often associated with conspiracy theories surrounding geoengineering and chemtrails. Critics argue that his claims lack scientific backing, rely on anecdotal evidence, and often interpret data selectively. Furthermore, mainstream climate science is based on rigorous, peer-reviewed research and many scientists view Wigington's theories as outside the established scientific consensus. For reliable information on climate science, it is best to refer to peer-reviewed studies from reputable scientific organizations that follow established methodologies and provide evidence-based conclusions. We don't have that with Mr. Wigington. If you're going to waste time on this, why don't we look at the big problem we have up in Mount Shasta? We have all these Lemurians that are pooping in our water, and all that water ends up in Shasta Lake, and then we end up drinking it. So we need a point of time count of these Lemurians. Secondly, we have Bigfoot eating our pets. They're eating our pets, and we need to do something about it. And what are we going to do about these Jewish space lasers? You know, they've been starting fires. They've burned the entire town of Paradise down. Why not bring Marjorie Taylor Greene here to tell us about the Jewish space lasers? This is ridiculous. This is a waste of our time, our resources. This is an insult to our intelligence.
Ron Swanson, everybody. Give it up for Ron Swanson.
I second the motion to bring Marjorie Taylor Greene here. I think she's awesome.
Yeah, I see that. Confirmation.
I
Republicans
second
on the
that motion.
All right.
You can't second the second
Burnett.
motion.
All right.
Bro.
John Knight, Tim.
All right, that dude's a legend. The man, the myth, the legend. Wow. Who was that man? Who was
They're
that
eating our
man?
pets, and we need to do. They're eating our pets. We don't have that with Mr. Conspiracy Theory.
Community. While,
So,
but
what
it's
was
a
his name?
joke.
Sorry, Brad, Jim Burnett, John Knight, Tim Saunders.
Brad? Just
Thing
Brad?
reputable scientific organization it. So we need a point of time count of these Lemurians. Secondly, we have Bigfoot eating our pets. They're eating our pets, and we need to do something about it. And what are we going to do about these Jewish space lasers? You know, they've been starting fires. They burned the entire town of Paradise down. Why not bring Marjorie Taylor Greene here to tell us about the Jewish space lasers? This is ridiculous. This is a waste of our time, our resources. This is an insult to our intelligence.
Jim Burnett.
I second the motion to bring Marjorie Taylor Greene here. I think she's awesome.
I second that motion.
All right. Jim Burnett.
All right. Good morning.
What the hell is a Lemurian? I mean, come on, guys. Like, dude dropped Lemurians. Freaking. Oh, God. Bigfoot's eating our pets. Lemurian. What the heck is that? Was a continent proposed in 1864 by zoologist Philip Schlater theorized to have sunk beneath the Indian Ocean. Lemuria? Okay. I don't even know. I don't even want to know. I'll have to look that up. Somebody let me know what the heck is the Lemurians in Redding, California.
John
Oh
Knight,
my God.
Tim Saunders, please get in queue, and Julie Threet.
Okay, good morning, everyone. I want to thank Dane Wigington for showing up and telling us the truth. And if you don't believe him, I would suggest you look at his material and give it a critical eye and don't just listen to all the deniers around. We've heard about election deniers. Now we're talking about science deniers. If you don't think that there's a lot of people that have a lot invested in keeping us dumb and fat, well, you've got another thing coming. The whole purpose of an establishment is to keep us, distracted by sex, drugs, rock and roll, and the Super Bowl. And Dane is speaking something that everyone can see. If anybody that's over the age of 50 can remember back that far, skies were a lot bluer than they are now. Weather patterns were a lot different. And if you don't think there's modification going on, I suggest that you look into it more and give it a chance. Don't just take the denier's word that everything is fine. The same people that are spiking our food to make us fat and unhealthy are the ones behind weather modifications. So you need to give a critical eye to all these things, and don't worry about what people say. Thank you.
All right. John Knight, followed by Tim Saunders, followed by Julie Threet, followed by Benjamin Owain.
God bless you, Kevin Cry, for having the courage. I don't know if you have that courage token on you, but I know that you can get a lot of heat for bringing up a subject. And for all you people with no class, no freaking respect, there's a conversation to be had. If you think water vapor can go from horizon to horizon and watch it turn on and off, are you telling me the air's different in this section and not this section? Look, Dane, I've known Dane 18 years. This guy's been trying to sound the alarm. You guys that think this is a freaking joke, our environment, the changing of the pH in the soil, okay, and you think autism is a freaking joke when you laugh at people when they're up there talking, have a conversation with them after. Don't laugh at them when they're up here.
Please direct your comments to us.
Yeah, so anyways, I want to beg the rest of you on the board to have the courage to continue this conversation, to not stray away from this. The scientific community knows about this. Most people actually know about this. 20 years ago, people did not know about it. I think
most people do not know about this. I've been doing this for 20 years also. Like, most people know the terms. You know, there's a lot of people now. There are more people now than at any point in my life who know about weather modification, cloud seeding, geoengineering, space weather modification, HARP, these things. But do they know very deeply about them? No, they don't. I mean, everything's really top water, superficial. There's a whole lot of trolling and a whole lot of fear and a whole lot of clickbaiting. And that's the truth. But, you know.
That the majority of people know about geoengineering now. This is not a conspiracy, okay? And by the way, conspiracy theorists are running out of conspiracies because they're actually being proven right over the time. So thanks, Dane Wigington, for all your hard work. And I know that
Orlando Rivera, I want to address this real quick because everybody wants to like jump on one side of the chat or another. Orlando Rivera says, search for patents on Google Patents. Bro, I'll do you one better. Just go to weathermodificationhistory.com/patents, because nobody has more weather modification patents than me, as displayed here. In fact, this is the world's most comprehensive weather control patent vault on the internet, bar none, with 1,181 patents, and it is searchable. So you can type in hurricane, and it'll tell you, here's the patents on hurricanes. Okay? You can literally go to these and click down arrow, and then click that, and it'll click you right to the patents. I coded this myself. If you think putting 1,181 patents into one freaking searchable index was easy, you're grossly underestimating who you're talking to. So I will drop this in chat for those who do not know about it, and I will try to find you up here. Orlando Rivera, here you go, reply, and weathermodificationhistory.com/patents. We knows about the weather modification patents. We knows, you knows. Now we all know, and you don't have to go searching the whole damn internet. They're all in one place. I made it real freaking easy for you. All right, back to the presentation.
You get a lot of crap for it by trying to expose the truth. Some people could be on the train track. The train's coming down. You try to tell them there's a train on the track and they can't even see it. So if you're old enough to remember the early 90s, right here in Shasta County, it wouldn't rain for 6 months. It was 100 degrees. It was clear blue skies. So did the jet technology change, or what changed? And autism went from 50,000 people, 1 in 50,000, to 1 in 36 now. So if you want to laugh about autism and the connection between something, anyways, you guys need to wake up.
Tim Saunders.
As pointed out with the mercury fog, a lot of the pollution that is coming into California is coming from the ships.
What do I say? Degreed scientist, peer review certificate in 1988, physician assistant studies in 2006. Dane has brought us a large, a seminal issue, a very, very important topic. It's much bigger than, say, the Board of Supervisors would typically address. So I thank you for your courage in bringing it forward today. One of our fellow constituents brought forth the fact that the problem with conspiracy theories is that they end up being true. Just give it about 9 months or maybe a year. And so if there's anything that you can do, please do it. If Yosemite can stand up and say, hey, we want some clear skies, then so can this board. If anybody is in the room and over, I'll just say 40 years old,
I'm still trying to find this Yosemite
clear
thing.
blue skies and seeing a jet go by and there's a little contrail and it disappears after a few minutes and that's it. And that's not what we're seeing now. Just go outside and take a look and ask yourself what's going on. This deserves more attention, and I thank you for your time. Have a good day.
Julie Threet, followed by Benjamin. That will be our last speaker. Then we will bring it back for board discussion.
Good morning, Shasta County Board of Supervisors. Julie Threet from Butte County. I drove up here to support Dane. He's a hero. When I moved to Butte County in 2014, I started noticing all of these white marks all above me in Chico and wondered what the heck's going on. What are these? I didn't see them in Santa Clara County. When I started to then find my way to Dane Wigington and watched everything he did, researched everything he talked about, I went, wow, this is true. Who are those planes? I loaded Flight Radar 24 on my phone, and every time I saw a plane with a white chemtrail behind it, I went online, pulled up that plane, and screenshotted it. Typically, it's Alaska Airlines. I watch Alaska Airlines every single day fly from Sacramento, San Jose, and San Francisco, up over Butte County, up over Shasta County, and then land in either Portland or Seattle. We need to take a look at Alaska Airlines. You know why they now require 2 baggages when you fly? Because they're loading a bunch of chemicals down below in the belly of the plane. So you got chemicals in Butte County. We are the #2 county in all of California with cancer. So I too, Supervisor Cry, wondered why do we have such high cancer rates? You pull up the CDC NIH cancer rates. All of California is 397 per 100,000. Glenn County is #1 at 487. Butte County is 483. Santa Cruz is 464. And you guys are #4 in the entire state with your cancer rates at 461. So put on the agenda, put on your strategic plan. How do we reduce our cancer rates from 461 back down to 397? That's what you need to do. Chemicals coming out of these planes, #1. Big ag in Butte County, obviously #2, the chemicals flying out of our big ag industry. #3, all the garbage being injected in our children's arms for sure. #4, we've got dilapidated classrooms and all of our portables.
Please state the topic.
And then #5 is your fire suppression. So everything that's being flown, get on top of your cancer rates. I think that's going to be your strategic goal. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Yeah, to the chat talking about the laws, I'm going to be trying to cover all of the laws.
This is just par for the course for this board, the board majority anyways. It's always the conspiracy theory amateur hour here. The film The Dimming, presented by Dane Wigington, is a masterclass in misinformation. Its core claim that planes are spraying harmful chemicals as part of a secret geoengineering program has been thoroughly debunked by credible research. For example, a comprehensive 2016 study in the Environmental Research Letters found no evidence supporting existence of, quote, chemtrails. The supposed highly
to be fair, that research paper was done by Mick West, chemtrail debunker, and Ken Caldera, geoengineer, and it was called the SLAP paper. SLAP, S-L-A-P, Secret Large Scale Aerial Program. And in that paper, they asked 100 scientists like 5 or 6 questions. And out of 100 scientists, only one said he saw abnormal levels of aluminum. But when they asked the question, why do contrails start and stop? It was completely divided, I would say 20%, 20%, 20%. So 5 ways, and actually in total probably about 16 different answers for why contrails start and stop. Some said updrafts and downdrafts. Some said, just general turbulence. Some cited lee waves. There was no scientific consensus whatsoever on why contrails start and stop. But that paper is called Secret Large Scale Aerial Program, SLAP, and it was authored by Mick West and Ken Caldera. Just saying, I'm going to back up.
Are spraying harmful chemicals as part of a secret geoengineering program has been thoroughly debunked by credible research. For example, a comprehensive 2016 study in the Environmental Research Letters found no evidence supporting existence of, quote, chemtrails. The supposed high aluminum levels cited by Wigington are misrepresentations. That study clarified that observed levels are consistent with naturally occurring sources. Now, contrails, which Wigington mischaracterizes as chemical sprays, are simply condensation trails formed by water vapor freezing at high altitudes, a basic, well-documented phenomenon. His suggestion that governments are secretly running secret solar geoengineering programs contradicts clear evidence. Those technologies are still in the research phase and subject to a lot of debate in the scientific community. It just isn't happening. Now, let's also address the role of social media. Studies show that 60% of the discourse on geoengineering online is driven by conspiracy theories, with platforms like Twitter serving as echo chambers that amplify these unfounded claims. This isn't just harmless debate. It spreads fear and undermines trust in science. Now, I must chastise Shasta County Board Chair Kevin Cry for bringing this harmful presentation to the Board of Supervisors. It isn't a matter of deciding for ourselves. This is a matter of public safety. By giving a platform to a charlatan like Dane Wigington, who spent over 20 years exploiting fear to make a living, go look at his website. It looks like a GeoCities amateur website made by a 13-year-old from the 90s.
Dude, that was low.
Our community deserves better. We need to prioritize truth, science, and accountability over pseudoscience and fear-mongering.
All right, so I'm going to bring it back for board discussion. Mr. Wigington, if you'd like to come up. Again, one of the things that I will say about this.
For the record.
That's really revealing.
Here is the paper that he was referencing. Quantifying expert consensus against the existence of secret large-scale atmospheric spraying program. It got spammed in there twice for some reason. But you can see that right here on the screen. There's the paper, and this is the one where he says that they completely debunked it. This paper is highly questionable because you have Mick West, chemtrail debunker, Ken Caldera, geoengineer, and very questionable data. And then the supporting data is even more questionable. So I'm not gonna use that as evidence that it's been completely debunked. In fact, I think there's way better evidence out there than that. But just saying, context matters.
Is when, you know what? At some point, I just almost say like it almost doesn't even matter because some people just aren't going to listen. But the reality is, where this started with 3 kids having one of the rarest forms of cancer, and it's in Shasta County. So if I'm just dumbfounded about how some people just can't help but politicize everything. Supervisor Plummer.
Who politicized anything?
Thanks for being here, Dane. A number of questions for you. One thing that I'm trying to get my head around is what would be the motive for doing this? And I know in the teaser video that you shared with us, one of the people said it's a area of research with unknown purposes, and a number of them reference the idea of it being a weapon, or that we don't take a weapon off the table, that it's war. So, what is the goal of this? And are we referring to the U.S. using it as a weapon against its own people, or like what? Help me understand what the motive would be here.
This is what is so profound that we have the term conspiracy theory, which is the final fallback of the truly fearful and the factless. This is solar radiation management, stratospheric aerosol injection, cloud albedo enhancement. The entire global climate science community is discussing exactly what we see in our skies. Jets dispersing light scattering particles to slow down the thermal energy buildup on planet Earth. They mention the exact consequences that we see happening: destruction of the ozone layer, disruption of the hydrological cycle, complete contamination of the planet. So this is what is so absurd about the denial of this issue, especially from so-called environmentalists, and I am to the core. But what could be a bigger environmental issue than this? So we have right now today about a dozen articles on this exact issue from the climate science community every single day, describing exactly what we see, and yet we have so much of society pretending we're not seeing what we're seeing. People that don't believe what they see with their own eyes. And someone brought up in here a court case that I lost. I lost a court case from someone who censored the dimming. Had nothing to do with losing anything on this issue itself. We've done hundreds of lab tests working with
Whoa. Who brought that up? Because this is not edited. I didn't cut anybody's testimony out. Who sued him over the dimming? He lost a court case over the dimming? Details, please. Somebody let me know. I didn't know about that. Is that why he re-released a revised version of the dimming on Rumble? I just saw that today. Interesting. I mean, I didn't know that.
The dimming had nothing to do with losing anything on this issue itself. We've done hundreds of lab tests working with major universities, major scientists, former U.S. Forest Service, former Fish and Game. Again, this is the elephant in the environmental equation, everything. Entire global climate science community is discussing this to slow down the warming of the planet. But they're not admitting it to it because of the obvious liability reasons. We have documents at GeoengineeringWatch.org up to 800 pages long, U.S. Senate documents describing the existence of these programs going back decades with budgets in the hundreds of millions of dollars, total blanket legal immunity described in the documents for anyone and everyone involved. We have a federal gag order on the nation's weathermen. Why would we think they're going to line up to blow the whistle on this issue? But the bottom line is our lab tests prove, working with major institutions like UC Minnesota and the state certified lab here in Reading, we know this material is coming down through the air column. We know it matches climate engineering patents, and we know the entire global climate science community is stating we should do this, but they're not admitting we are.
So just to make sure I'm understanding, because I think you were addressing a lot of the public comments there versus what I was asking, are you saying that the goal is to reduce global warming?
I'm saying that is the stated goal by governments around the globe and the entire global climate science community. Geoengineering, climate engineering, stratospheric aerosol injection, but now you have pushback from the climate science community saying, because they certainly know this is going on, that this would have catastrophic consequences. Are we not seeing that right now? Is this not like the pharmaceutical industrial cure for take this for that symptom and here's 50 side effects? And that's exactly what we're doing. You can't do this to the planet's natural systems without catastrophic consequences, and we're seeing those.
And to that point,
if we can not clap just so we can keep this moving, because there's probably be a lot of discussion.
Yeah, because this video is getting long.
To that point, let's say that there are elevated aluminum levels in the soil, in the air, in the water. What would be the health consequences that we would see in a population if that were the case?
Neurological everything, and we are seeing it. And in regard to, again...
Could you clarify that a little bit in terms of...
Alzheimer's, ALS, dementia, all of that. Now, wouldn't we think the Alzheimer's Foundation might address that? Not when there's members of the aluminum industry on their board. I tried to have a booth at the Alzheimer's Walk here in Reading. I tried to give a sizable donation just to get a booth to pass out data on aluminum toxicity. Again, aluminum toxic to all life forms, period. Bioavailable aluminum, which doesn't exist in the environment for free. When someone stated that we should expect that, no. Bioavailable aluminum does not exist naturally. Alzheimer's Foundation refused my attempt to try to disclose aluminum toxicity. And again, we have industries profiting, not GeoengineeringWatch.org. It was insinuated here I've profited. I've spent my entire SEP IRA account, my retirement on this. I've sold off about 1,000 acres I own in Shasta County to support this effort. So bottom line is this is something I'm trying to do because I can't look myself in the mirror, my children in the eyes without doing this. But the bottom line is the data is monumental. Government documents, Senate documents, all of that at GeoengineeringWatch.org. We don't advertise, we don't sell anything.
So
Whoa. You don't advertise, you don't sell anything. Dude, don't lie. I mean, that's a shopping cart, bro. You don't sell anything, you don't buy anything. Because, I mean, I'm not being a hypocrite. I got a merch shop too. Nobody buys anything off of it, but that's beside the point. Don't act like you don't make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in just donations. In every single video he does, he literally says, here's my P.O. box. And yeah, he doesn't sell anything. Literally, like, it's right here. Like, there's his, buy a watch, a t-shirt, Geoengineering Watch, t-shirt, cards, bumper stickers. If you guys haven't seen all the billboards all over the place, I mean, come on, dude. Who do you think you're fooling? You just literally lied to their face and said, and here's all the people that bought your merch. So how are you? And there, you don't advertise, but other people advertise for you. I guess that'll be the next argument. Don't lie, dude. He has literally got a huge marketing team. I'm gonna harp on this for a minute. He literally pays like the online bot teams, marketing teams. And if I, for years, if I had a video titled Geoengineering that had it in the title, bots would come and comment and just literally say geoengineeringwatch.org. And I've seen it on hundreds of websites where there's an article about it and it would just be a comment. All the comment would say is geoengineeringwatch.org. So don't even try to lie, dude. Don't try to lie. If you go look at his Deming thing, let me see if I can find it real quick because I just saw this earlier. x.com/realgeoengwatch. Which of course he has me blocked, but now you can't block me anymore, so kind of sucks for you. Yeah, this is the reality of the situation. So Real Geoengineering has blocked you. But Elon, being the man that he is, now even if someone blocks you, you can still see what they tweet. And right here you see the Deming exposed climate cover-up. Takes you over to Rumble, and this is a revised version of the Deming. Okay, it's a new cut. I don't know what's been added or deleted. He hinted at the fact that he got sued over it, so there's a new version over on Rumble. And if he says, but I don't make any money on this, and I don't advertise or sell anything, be honest, dude. I'm honest. I take donations. Like, I want to come home so that I can go to these things. Okay. Oh shit. Right about the time I say that, here comes misinformation with the docket. Samuel Williams of Redding, California, attorney for plaintiff Dane Wigington, DBA. Oh my gosh. So here we go. Lawsuits. Complaint for damages for defamation and interference with prospective economic relations. Geoengineeringwatch.org. Okay, well, I could really make this a long video and read all this. And at all times, engineering splits his time between mechanical and aerospace at Cornell University. Non-party science UAC is described as, oh god, these are all the legal terms. What's the charge? Charging allegations. United Nations Universities, Our World, an award-winning magazine. Short primer on solar radiation management. Okay. Okay, so I mean, this is gonna take some time to go through. I'm gonna dig into it. Anyway, it's in chat. Gonna leave it in chat. Shout out for the thing. Yes, there was a lawsuit over the Deming, and I don't know what the outcome of that. He said he lost, but there it is. November 5th, 2021. Dude, you're just getting wrecked today. Just getting wrecked today. But my point is, like, at least be honest about what you're doing. I wasn't showing any of that just now. I wasn't even showing any of that. But there's the file. GeoengineeringWatch, plaintiff, defendants, Douglas McMartin and Douglas McMinowski, an individual, and does 1 through 10. John, I guess that's John Doe's 1 through 10. Okay. That's a defamation lawsuit. Plaintiff Dane Wigington alleges that he was defamed. I don't know. We'll have to dig into that later. I bookmarked it. But, hey, now you know. There's the thing. But, be honest about it. You do support, collect donations, Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, the huge. You can mail contributions, mail him a check. He will sell you swag. He advertises. Don't lie, dude. Just don't lie. If you get caught in a lie, we're going to call you on it. Appreciate you, Jack.
I didn't hear you mention cancer in there. I know that's been something that other people have brought up. Is there a proven link between aluminum toxicity and cancer?
Not just aluminum, polymer nanoparticles. And I would challenge anyone, Councilman, to look up the amount of polymer nanoparticles that are showing up in human organs causing, yes, cancer, especially the human brain. They're accumulating there. Primary element in climate engineering patents are polymer fibers, and those are showing up everywhere ubiquitously in the planet. And yes, we have decomposing plastic. Yes, we've been horrible stewards of the planet. I am very familiar with that arena, but these particles appear to be manufactured. Again, they're named specifically in climate engineering patents, and they are showing up ubiquitously around the planet. And we have synergistic toxicity. So when you have elements like aluminum and mercury, which was mentioned here, we know each element highly toxic in and of themselves, and we have peer-reviewed study to prove that when you combine those elements, aluminum and mercury, toxicity can increase as much as 10,000%, 100 times worse. And we don't even have studies on the other elements, manganese, barium, surfactants, graphene has showed up in our last 100 lab tests with UC Minnesota. We're not shooting from the hip. I just want...
he mentions the mercury again, and we pointed out the fog thing earlier. But this infographic illustrates the processes by which ocean bacteria convert mercury into methyl mercury, which is then brought to the surface by upwelling, released back into the atmosphere. Methyl mercury is carried inland by fog and drips to the ground, where it begins a slow process of bioaccumulation. If people don't know about, if you're eating, the larger the fish you're eating in the ocean, the more bioaccumulation. The other term is biomagnification. The ocean is loaded with mercury, and apparently bacteria are farting out mercury, which is ending up in the fog. New findings indicate fog-borne methyl mercury is making its way all the way up the food chain from lichen to deer and mountain lions. Yeah. So it ends up in the moss and lichen. The deer eat it, the mountain lions eat the deer, and that bioaccumulates from mercury from out in the ocean. How about that? Just saying. For everything you think I keep an open mind because I find out I'm wrong all the time. And I'd rather, be proven wrong and learn about it so that I'm shooting you guys straight. But mercury farts in the fog, that's a new thing. I learned something tonight. Appreciate it.
I want to express that. We are really not shooting from the hip. We spent 6 figures on aerial testing behind these aircraft. This is not done haphazardly, not in any way, shape, or form.
So just to make sure I'm understanding, are you saying that aluminum toxicity wouldn't necessarily cause cancer, but the polymers that are also associated with the dispersion of these materials would be likely to cause cancer.
I'm not saying specifically aluminum would or would not cause cancer. I'm saying aluminum, we have peer-reviewed study to prove, is toxic to all life forms, period. So again, once you start to knock dominoes down with the human biology, where would that end, and how could one specifically determine all the downstream consequences? It's not possible. But the bottom line is, if you're living and breathing with toxic air, the plethora of problems that are going to come from that are endless.
Okay. So we don't know for sure that these chemicals would cause cancer, but we believe that it would have neurological effects, at least at the minimum.
Certainly. And let's use cigarette smoking, okay? If you smoke for 50 years and you get lung cancer, it's pretty likely that that's what did it, right? Try to prove that in a court of law. I mean, we have that type of a system here. Obviously, there's a cause and effect, and the Occam's razor principle should come into play here. But the bottom line is, when we see every known effect from these toxins falling, not just with human health and biology, but also environmental, also the state's biologists, and I still have those emails, would be happy to give them to the board, from the state's head biologist at that time, talking specifically about this toxicity. Someone should solicit Reading Environmental Waste to release their tests, which I was shown. They've never released those tests about the aluminum flowing down the river. So again, there's a mountain of data here, but not many willing to actually talk about it, and that's tragic.
I do have one more line of question for you, but just to clarify, I think it's a pretty well-established link between smoking and cancer, and so I think that sounds like a different class.
In an individual case, it is difficult to prove, is what I'm saying. And the bottom line is, this material is there, and we have a lot of officials that know it's there, not willing to talk about it, certainly not when there's a federal gag order on them. What I'm stating is,
there is no federal gag order. If you missed it earlier, it's in the chat. I'm going to be publishing this entire video with all the things we learned along the way on my Substack. If you're not subscribed, go to connect.climateviewer.com, click on the Substack link, put your email in, and you will get an update whenever this video goes live on Substack with the references. Just saying. And very quickly before we go any further, if you don't know about it and you've never seen this page before, ClimateViewer.com/Cirrus Clouds Matter, the shady truth about artificial clouds. All of the metals, every single one of the metals are in the jet fuel. This is proven. When Dane says he paid $100,000 to fly up behind a plane, that was already here. Like, this was published on my website years ago. In fact, this study was done in 2016, and you can see that study right here linked locally. Chemical characterization of freshly emitted particulate matter from aircraft exhaust using single particle mass spectrometry. And what did they find? They found the detected metallic compounds were all internally mixed with soot particles. The most abundant metals in jet exhaust were chromium, iron, molybdenum, sodium, calcium, aluminum, vanadium, barium, cobalt, copper, nickel, lead, magnesium, manganese, silicon, titanium, and zirconium were also detected. In addition, lots of sulfur. And why does that matter? Because sulfur ends up in the stratosphere, and that is stratospheric aerosol injection. However, nobody really focuses on it this way. So the problem is that evidentiary matters. Possible climatic implications of high altitude black carbon emissions. 2017, the Indian Space Organization found evidence of black carbon particles existing up to 18 kilometers in the stratosphere, and there are 10,000 of them per cubic centimeter. Given the shape and location of these particles, they argue it could only derive from emissions of aviation fuel. So all of the metals that he's complaining about come from jet fuel, have been tested in jet fuel on the ground and in the atmosphere while flying. Many tests. So in the Deming, they flew up and verified what many scientists had already said. And furthermore, they did not fly up to 60,000 feet, 18 kilometers, where 10,000 black carbon particles per cubic centimeter are, and the fact that that effectively is geoengineering. Planes making clouds was never geoengineering. That was never the plan. The plan was to loft sulfur, aluminum, titanium, calcium, or diamond dust. Those 5 chemicals. I have been studying geoengineer. I have debated Ken Caldera, David Keith. I know everything that they say. I read everything they write. I have read all of the papers, and unequivocally, all geoengineering stratospheric aerosol injection programs say that they need to loft chemicals to 70 to 90,000 feet in order to geoengineer the planet. And in order to do so, they would only need between 14 to at most 50 planes flying year round. So with as little as 14 planes, you could geoengineer the whole planet, but they would have to do it at around 70 to 90,000 feet. No plane you've ever seen in your life has been flying up there, and that type of geoengineering, stratospheric aerosol injection, does not create clouds. It would whiten the sky. So you have to understand the difference between sky whitening for albedo enhancement to reflect sunlight to cool the planet and planes making clouds. There's a big difference. In fact, I'll go one step further. Please, allow me these deviations. If you go to contrails.org, hear it straight from Bill Gates' mouth. This is the first article I wrote on Substack was about contrail avoidance, warming and cooling contrails. And it's all right here. Contrails have a substantial warming effect on the climate. So it's not actually cooling the climate. It's not geoengineering. It is actually warming the climate according to the scientists. So, only 5% of their planes have to adjust their routes to have a significant climate benefit. And how do they plan on doing that? By contrail avoidance. So how do you avoid making contrails? You actually have to plan all of that out. And right here on Bill Gates' website, contrails.org, they have a map that literally shows you right here. You can't miss it. Cooling contrails. These contrails have a net cooling effect by reflecting incoming solar radiation. Warming contrails. They trap heat on the ground and stop outgoing thermal radiation. And you can see right here, orange and blue. Orange is warming. I see mostly orange. Do you guys see the blue? Where's the blue? I saw blue for a moment over here. I thought I did. Am I tripping? These are all planes, and you can actually see what planes they are as they're flying through. There's some blue. So there's a little bit of cooling contrails right there, but then it's going to go immediately back to the minute the sun goes down. Sun's going down, warming, the sun's going down. And as it goes across, now any contrails that are making cirrus clouds at night are warming. That is the science, and that is what the scientists, including geoengineering guru, if you look at the about section, you can see that this is by Breakthrough Energy. And if you go to Breakthrough Energy and you look at who their team is, where is it at? Let's see if it's under fellows. We'll just Google hack it real quick. Watch this. Breakthrough Energies, site : Ken Caldera. Oh, what? The Our Team page has been deleted? Since I last showed it, they want to delete it? Oh, I see. You guys want to play dirty. They're playing dirty. I like to play dirty. Let's go, chat. Nah, don't even play like this has not been archived. Because I know it has. I personally archived this. Now they're deleting stuff from the internet. Wonderful. And where is he? I'll be on the next page for K. Two. And there he is. And there it is. Now, I don't know why you guys think you can delete your crap and get away with this, but who's a member of Breakthrough Energy, which is created this contrails, the Reviate contrails map for predicting when contrails are going to be flying dirty? I like that in chat. Flying dirty. Gonna catch me flying dirty. Gonna catch me flying dirty. Senior scientist at Breakthrough Energy. Ken joined Breakthrough Energy as senior scientist in January 2021. So the same guy who debunked chemtrails as a theory is the same guy who is predicting when contrails will cool or heat, because contrails are a different form of geoengineering. They call it climate mitigation. Non-CO2 emissions of aircraft. So this is what they don't want you to know about. This, if I went into that room, I can prove beyond a shadow of a doubt, and I would literally, from memory, quote every single paper, because I have a photographic memory. Dane cannot do this. Dane does not believe. Do I need to remind you, Dane Wigington, the contrail lie. Contrails do not exist in Dane's world. However, geoengineer Ken Caldera is working for Bill Gates, who made contrails.org. Look at it for yourself. Links in chat. Links for everybody. I'm gonna have to go ahead and bookmark this now that they've screwed with their website. We'll just throw this in the to-do list. All the stuff I'm throwing in the to-do list right now is for the article. So I will put all of this into a Substack article. We will have all the references for this entertaining edutainment evening that we've had, including the contrail lie. I might as well throw that up there too. Why not? Okay. Weather Service gag order debunked. We're just killing it tonight, guys. But you know, I'm going to be creating an entire website devoted specifically to plane farts and geoengineering in the near future, because right now all I have is one single page devoted to that, and that is climateviewer.com/cirruscloudsmatter. Now, again, this is not about attacking the individual. This is about the truth. So, though Dane and I disagree, we have different opinions based on different evidence. My level of what I consider to be evidence is much higher, obviously, than what Dane considers to be evidence. And that will probably become readily apparent in the very near future. Watch.
These are real tests. These are real scientists. These are real institutions. And if people don't believe what they see with their own eyes, we have up-close film footage of these aircraft at altitude, nozzles visible, turning on and off, KC-10s, KC-135, C-17 Globemasters. There's a mountain of data, but there's also a mountain of denial.
So another question here would be, could you help me understand, if we just take the United States, for example, what would you say would be the distribution of these chemicals in the United States? I mean, would it be relatively even across all geographies, or how would that work?
Depends on where the weather patterns enter the lower 48. So in the Pacific Northwest, we appear to be, based on satellite imagery, hit harder. As I stated, working with the University of Minnesota and about 500 lab tests and extrapolating the amount of material in that precipitation and then projecting that globally, it appears something in the range of 40 to 60 million tons is being dispersed. And not coincidentally, that matches what climate engineers are stating they want to deploy. These dots all connect.
So, sorry, are you saying that this would be more likely to be more prevalent in areas where weather patterns enter the continental U.S.? I didn't quite understand that.
The actual, if there's an AR, an atmospheric river entering anywhere in the U.S., there are dispersions generally in front of that. And we have climate engineering documentation or their proposals stating that would be an advantageous point for them to disperse, whether or not they're admitting to it. So the bottom line is, once it's in the air column, there's no place to hide from this, no place to hide.
And once you would imagine that it would be more heavily dispersed in areas where there's more air travel, where you could track that there's more planes flying overhead.
No,
is that
no? We see these trails on non-commercial routes. On Flight Tracker, we have transponders turned off, which is illegal unless you're a military operation.
How do you have on Flight Tracker planes that have their transponders cut off? I'm just saying, like, I'm listening intently. I'm trying to be Fox Mulder. I want to believe, but Dane, logically, how on a Flight Tracker do you have a plane on a Flight Tracker, but it doesn't show up? So it would not be on the Flight Tracker because the transponder's off. Am I missing something here? Because last time I checked, everything on this Flight Tracker has a transponder on or was picked up. This is ADSB Exchange, not exactly Flight Radar or any of these other websites, because this is literally open source journalism right here. All of these flights are being picked up by people who literally have radios on the ground and are picking them up. Okay? And if you click the U right here, these are all military aircraft. Okay? You're not going to see that on most other flight tracking software. Just saying, there's a Black Hawk helicopter, damn, Alabama got it going on. There's a bunch of helicopters in the air over Alabama right now. So you can actually track military flights on globe.adsb exchange. In fact, this is the only one I ever use. And, I will cross-reference it with others. If you have not bookmarked that, please do so now. But how do you have planes that have their transponders off, but you see them on flight trackers, or you don't see them on flight trackers? Maybe I misunderstood what he said. We'll go back just a skosh to try to understand what he's saying here.
Commercial routes. On Flight Tracker, we have transponders turned off, which is illegal unless you're a military operation. And people are waking up to this. In fact, right now we have about 24 states working with legislation. 24. Tennessee has already passed this legislation. And although it is difficult to enforce, they all admit, it is symbolic and it is putting this issue on the radar. And it is profound how many people claim to be environmentalists or care about the environment that are willing to ignore the biggest issue of all. And GeoengineeringWatch attorneys spoke to attorneys from all the major environmental groups, WWF, Greenpeace, Sierra Club, all of them. All of them told our attorneys they did not want to address this issue because they didn't want to lose their 501c3 nonprofit. Is that not the epitome of criminal hypocrisy? That's exactly what that is.
Yeah, and I guess and this is my last comment, and then I'll be done. But what I was trying to figure out is there was some suggestion that Shasta County, the representative, or not representative, but woman from Glenn County, that we have elevated rates of these here. And so what I was trying to figure out is, would you imagine that the dispersion of those materials is somehow being concentrated in Northern California for a particular reason? It sounds like, based on your answer, that would, go where atmospheric rivers are, which, I know recently, and I obviously don't have the data on this, but in terms of an aggregate, but that's coming in through the Bay Area. There was a number of atmospheric rivers there. So if we were to track that, we could in theory suggests that, oh, this is where we would expect those to have more of an impact. Because that's what I'm trying to understand is like, can we say, oh, one, is there a link between what you're describing and cancer rates? And then two, would we expect that to be more elevated here? It sounds like some of that still needs to be worked out, but I appreciate your time. And
to answer your question in summary, just because an element is dispersed over Shasta County doesn't mean it lands here. It lands far downstream.
That's true.
What lands here is something dispersed upstream. So the bottom line is we have satellite imagery that shows these dispersions very clearly. We see them over Shasta County over non-commercial routes whenever there's a heavy dispersal day. Transponders commonly turned off. There are so many red flags here that are so inarguable.
Matt Jeepers, $20 super chat. God bless you, brother, man. I appreciate it. You're the best, brother. Thank you, man.
Lab testing and arguing. Again, film footage. When people don't believe what they can see with their own eyes, again, up close film footage of these aircraft at altitude dispersing, nozzles visible, there's nothing you can tell a person like that. They're going to remain in denial. But the bottom line is the repercussions from these programs are becoming absolutely catastrophic. It won't be hidden much longer. And we have many states, many legislators. We're communicating with them at geoengineeringwatch.org. Climate science community is now beginning.
Exothermal asks a perfect question. What are Dane's actionables? So far, there are none. And, he mentioned 24 states. I was only aware of 11. Like I said, I'm going to do my due diligence, and I'm going to track down everybody who's currently engaged in any type of legislation, find out how realistic what they're proposing is, and point out, what I consider to be flaws in their logic. And the biggest flaw I would bring up is this. When Make Sunsets did geoengineering over Baja California, Mexico banned geoengineering. However, that doesn't mean that you can actually do anything about it. This is kind of crazy, but I'm going to have to basically, agree with David Keith of all people on this. So it's unclear what effect Mexico has not set a date for implementing its ban. So all of Mexico banned geoengineering. Just so you know, if you didn't know, now you know. It's literally on weathermodificationhistory.com. Go to timeline, and it's right there. It's the very first entry. Mexico bans Make Sunsets rogue geoengineering, and you can learn all about it. But basically, even though Mexico banned geoengineering, now that's a whole country. We're not even talking about, Mount Shasta County or a state like Tennessee. That's a whole ass country. This is the response. Mexico has not set a date for implementing its ban on geoengineering, a spokesperson for the environmental ministry said, and it's unclear what effect a ban might have. David Keith argues a ban is unenforceable. You can't write legislation that says you can't put sulfur in the stratosphere since every commercial flight does that. I will 100% agree with that comment until you see this for what it is, until you deal with what we're seeing overhead as a pollution problem. You will not be able to do anything about it. I applaud everybody who is banning cloud seeding, geoengineering. I don't like these things. I'm in support of bans of them. But just like he said, they're more, they're more virtue signaling. It's about, sending a message. But they're completely unenforceable. As the lady said earlier, what you going to do? You going to fly up there with some fighter jets? I said that like a year ago. I said that when Tennessee was banning it. People threw poo at me, and I'm like, but Tennessee, even though they banned geoengineering, they can't do anything about it. They're not going to be able to go up there and fly and stop planes. And by the way, jet exhaust, as I pointed out, ends up at 18 kilometers in the stratosphere, 10,000 particles per cubic centimeter, and that is wrapped in sulfuric acid. For those who don't know, sulfuric acid is also one of the major contributors to whitening of the sky. So if you don't deal with sulfuric acid coming out of jet exhaust ending up in the stratosphere as a pollution issue, you will not be able to do anything about this problem. And that's what David Keith is saying here. You can't write legislation that bans geoengineering because, all commercial flights put sulfur into the stratosphere. Others note that a ban on geoengineering on Mexico's territory would offer no protection from planet-scale impact of future experiments by any of its neighbors. It could happen literally next door in terms of the impacts on the world. It's the same, Janos Pastor said. So, at the end of the day, when we're talking about geoengineering and banning it, this is not something you can do hyper locally. Dang, Mad G, for coming with the second, dude, I appreciate it, brother. You're one of the best, man. You're one of the best. Thank you for the super chat, brother. And he linked up patreon.com/ClimateViewer. Everybody who does support the channel, know that everything I do, I have 3 separate websites. I've put well more than 20,000 hours into those websites. I'm currently working on climateviewer.org, the new map, so that I can get back to mapping a lot of these projects. And we're going to do some really cool things in the near future with that. But I'm working 40 hours a week. I don't have it like the gentleman on the screen where I could drop $100,000 on doing the things I want to. And I miss being able to go out and do my activism. So until such time that I, gain enough monetary funding from beautiful people like you, then I'll be back home and be able to go out and do some real ass legislating and educating, and hopefully even do some meet and greets with you people. You find people of the internet that take your time to get educated on this subject and share my stuff. Most censored man on the internet. You're looking at him right now. Let's get back to it. Maybe I need to back it up
They
here.
might start money over non-commercial routes whenever there's a heavy dispersal day. Transponders commonly turned off. There are so many red flags here that are so inarguable. Lab testing inarguable. And again, film footage, when people don't believe what they can see with their own eyes, again, up close film footage of these aircraft at altitude dispersing, nozzles visible, there's nothing you can tell a person like that. They're going to remain in denial. But the bottom line is the repercussions from these programs are becoming absolutely catastrophic. It won't be hidden much longer. And we have many states, many legislators. We're communicating with them at GeoengineeringWatch.org, climate science community.
Yeah, Ed, I think you might be right about that. Maybe that's what he was referring to, is the registration number might not be visible, not the plane's not visible. I have seen that, where it's like registration unavailable.
Is now beginning to indicate they might start to disclose these programs are going on. They will. This issue will be disclosed.
Thank you.
Supervisor Long.
Mr. Wigington, thank you for your presentation today. I come from a police background. I was a detective.
Oh, no.
And so everything was evidence-based that we dealt with. And one of the crimes that I was tasked to investigate was arson. And I worked with the fire department on arson investigations. Arson was a very difficult crime to prove because you had to disprove all other possible explanations before you could come to a conclusion of arson. Really, really challenging investigations. So my question is, yes, we have high cancer rates. That's not to be disputed. But would it be like an arson investigation where you would have to rule out all other possible explanations before you could come to this conclusion that you're proposing?
I'm not making a claim of cancer. I never made that claim.
No, I know, but this discussion started with.
See, that's a red flag. Like, he's literally saying, why wouldn't you try to rule out all other possibilities? We can't see the gentleman speaking. I need to change it. This gentleman's asking the question. Look, I investigate arsons. We have to rule out all other, possibilities before coming to a conclusion. Arson. So have you taken this approach to ruling out all other possibilities? That is exactly what I did. I started in 2008. And originally, I was more inclined to believe all the things. And then I very, fundamentally broke it down to, well, people are saying that, I saw that the Yosemite over in Rumble chat, he's saying maybe this is what they're talking about, that basically Yosemite National Park is banning UAV flights over it. So that's the only thing I could get was like drone flights over Yosemite banned. I couldn't find anything else on that. There was a court order limiting flights over national parks, including Yosemite, related to tourism flights. Oh, once again, bring in the fire. Dude, I'm going to have to like hire misinformation at this point. Bro's just wrecking. National Parks Air Tour Management Act of 2000. Bookmarked. Damn, my bookmark list has just gone off the side of the screen. Put it up there. Yeah, so I guess that answers that. Again, appreciate you. That's pretty. I was listening to him talk about the weather, the where the winds are blowing, and that's why I went there. But yeah, you have to I looked at it as very simply, if we're going to talk about aluminum and barium coming from the chemtrails, I'm going to look for what the most likely, place that barium and aluminum can come from. And it turns out barium and aluminum are in the jet fuel. Barium specifically is also in engine lubricants like the oils and grease. So you've heard of like white lithium grease. They have barium grease. So barium is a common, in engine lubricants as well. There are several other places where aluminum comes from. When you're at altitude, radiation is a factor. So radiation actually breaks down metals. So there's actually some chafing, some breakdown of the actual turbofans and all of that. So some of the aluminum that's coming out of the plane is literally from deterioration of the metal fan blades themselves. That's why flight line crew have to constantly inspect for micro fractures or anything like that on the engines to make sure they don't fall apart or blow up. So nothing's ever a really simple answer, and people don't want to think about ruling out all the other possibilities till the only one that is left is the only logical answer. And, as we stated earlier, Mercury fog, that's a new one. That's a new one even on me.
The idea of cancer.
Always a student, sometimes a teacher, and what do we say, guys? Never an expert. Never an expert. Always a student, sometimes a teacher, never an expert, and you will always be growing for the rest of your life. I continue to grow, and I want to learn, so keep an open mind.
I know that there's acid rain, and some of the lakes and the fish are swimming in circles because they get buckled up with it. So
sulfuric
there
acid,
are pollutants.
SO2.
I think the
H2SO4
question that I would have
comes
in
out of
this
jets.
Arena would be, have we
and have we completely forgot about acid rain? I don't know. Chat, let me know in the comments if you actually made it this far in the video. You're hardcore. Let me know in the comments. Does Dane even talk about acid rain? I don't know. I mean, I don't know if that's part of his narrative, but for me, acid rain's still a thing. I'm a Generation X, born in 1976. Acid rain's all we heard about was the damn ozone hole and acid rain. And now you don't hear about acid rain anymore. You hear about ocean acidification because of CO2. You can't make this stuff up.
Proven other theories that could lead to a really high cancer rate. We have a lot of people that smoke in this community. We have a lot of people that do sometimes activities that are not conducive to proper health. So likening it to an arson investigation, before we get too wound up, would we not
Willie, you
have
nailed
to
it.
dismiss other reasons for the results that we're finding?
I'm not here to discuss cancer. I have nothing to do. I'm simply saying, but to back up Mr. Cry, you can't be exposed to this plethora of toxic materials and not have a host of downstream effects. And we are here. We exist. GeoengineeringWatch.org exists to prove that this is happening in our skies. And we, at our expense, on film, on the record, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration Flying Lab to altitude, all on that film. Top scientists in it, sampled that, processed, all on film, on the record, Rensselaer Polytechnic University.
Top scientists on that flight, but the scientist in the trailer at the beginning said, name withheld. I don't think that's a top scientist. I mean, I'm just being realistic. If you're a top scientist, you're not, then people know your face, and you wouldn't be putting in the film name withheld. You'd be flaunting your credentials. And I've watched the Deming. I watched the whole part where they went through the large agglomerates of, PM 2.5, PM 10. They were not looking at nanoparticles in that film. I don't know if y'all know that, but I mean, I've seen extreme close-ups of carbon black, that's encased with, all the metals, and the outside of a carbon black particle is graphene. And that graphene is less than a nanometer thick. It's literally like an M&M. The hard candy shell is graphene, and inside's carbon black. That's the chocolate. And inside the chocolate is all the metals. We're talking extremely small particles.
Found them dispersing climate engineering elements, starting with aluminum, toxic to all life forms. We are here to prove that these operations are ongoing. The public has a right to know. That's why we're here.
One thing too, and I just want to make this clear. You just said it, that this wasn't about cancer, but I can tell you, Supervisor Long, I will go back and ask those. Maybe I didn't talk to all three families. I talked to one, but I'm pretty sure those 6 and under kids weren't smokers. So, Supervisor Kellstrom.
Yeah, thanks for being here, Dane. Do you have the date of that Reading environmental test by chance? If somebody wanted to
that
get
meeting occurred in 2009, something like that.
Do you remember the approximate time of the year? I mean,
another really good point. I was thinking about the arson thing that he was just talking about, and if have you ruled out all other possibilities? That's what he said. And I sent this to Jeff earlier today, so it should be right here. Let me find it. No, that's me joking about nephophobia. And that's the soil geoengineering thing. And here it is. So ruling out all other possibilities. Have you ruled out all other possibilities, Dane? You live in California. Have you ruled out the other types of chemtrails called pesticides? Oh, what are these? Hold on to your britches, people. This is agricultural and forestry spraying, ranked number 1. 38 million pounds of sulfur treated 4.5 million acres. And you look down the list, 34 million pounds, 9 million pounds, 8 million pounds, 8 million pounds. This is per year. This is per year. This is methyl bromide, alpha nonylphenol omega hydroxypolyethylene, copper hydroxide. I mean, look at the list, guys. This is stuff that is literally being sprayed. This is straight from the California's website, files.cdpr.california.gov is where I pulled this file. And this is the top, chemical names of pesticides, which pesticides includes herbicides and pesticides. Bro, this is being sprayed all over California. You have cloud seeding projects This is from the California Department of Pesticide Regulation. Pulled it straight from their website. Still going down. 305,000 acres. We're at, 18. And lime sulfur, ammonium sulfate. Bro, all of this is being sprayed. Paraquat. I thought paraquat was... Anyway, we've all seen the paraquat commercials. Bro, it's still being used. 337,000 pounds traded at 367,000 acres. Are you breathing that shit? Because if you are, you might want to look into it before you go blaming all the planes flying overhead if you don't consider all of the things above. The other one is what's called the EPA Toxic Release Inventory, where you can literally see all of the plants, the mines, whatever, and what toxic chemicals are coming out of industrial sites. They used to have a live map, and I actually mapped all that information out on climateviewer.org. I will be redoing that map so that we can look at it, because they have basic data files and data. I grabbed the basic plus data files and map all that out so that you can see what chemicals you're breathing in your area. So I'm giving you 3 examples right now. We've got what's coming off the ocean, what's coming from the pesticides and herbicides, and what's coming from local toxic sources of industry. And then after you eliminate all those possibilities, where do you end up? Do you end up with chemtrails, bruh? It's all the planes. It's all secret government program. That's what the arson police investigator dude was asking. Have you done your due diligence to eliminate all other possibilities? I keep all possibilities on the table because I want to be realistic with my expectations.
I don't.
Okay. Because, if somebody wanted to get a PRA request, that would probably help them find the date or at least the time frame.
And that's true of anywhere in the world.
My question is, first of all,
Marcia, the rep her name was Marcia, that was the head of that department at that time. I do remember that.
Okay. All right. And then, my whole question is, and I've heard both sides. I've had some very reputable people that are on the other side that have looked into it and they don't believe it's happening. And I've heard you speak publicly. And so my question is, first of all, who's doing it? And we don't know who's doing it, right? So like Tennessee, for instance, passed a law or an ordinance that you can't spray over the top of Tennessee. So if a plane flies over Tennessee tomorrow and disperses, who do you go after?
Again, this can't happen without DOD. It can't happen without.
It can happen.
Being completely involved. We have government.
That's absolute horse crap. That is absolute horse crap. He asked you a straight up question. No offense, Dane. This isn't about you personally. It's about your answers. It's about your ideas. If a plane goes over, the scientists are Marvin Herndon's friends. Ed, knock it off, bro. You're trolling me at this point. Marvin Herndon is a quack, bro. Oh, Lord. Don't do this to me. See, there I go. Little ad hominem specifically because Ed triggered me by mentioning Herndon, who so desperately wants my attention. I will not give it to him. Can we still vote for you to be a part of the Maha movement? You can. I won that. I don't know if you know that, but I totally won. I don't think you can get any higher than I'm on there right now. So if you go to climateviewer.com/Maha, I made a shortcut to it. You'll quickly see that if you go to natural resources and, I'm at the top. I got 1,200 votes. It's right there. James Franklin Lee Jr., nominees for the people for the Maha movement. 1,200 votes. If you sort by votes, I'm beating Donald Trump Jr. So 1,207 votes with 1,300 views on the page. Donald Trump Jr. at, you can't get much better than that, okay? And then Renette sent him 673 votes. Shout out to Renette. And Dane Wigington at 654 votes. So, I mean, whether this amounts to anything, I don't know. You don't know. We don't have a friggin' clue. But we'll see. What in the absolute hell is this thing doing? That is just weird. There's so many comments of just people just like, it's too much, bro. It's just too much. Like I'm giggling, I'm smiling, I'm going, wow, the love that was shown on the Mile High forums, it's impressive. But yeah, I mean, as far as I know, like voting is still open, and whether that actually means anything, I don't know. I don't freaking know. But you totally sidetracked me, bro. You totally sidetracked me. I don't even remember what the hell I was talking about now. It had something to do with something he said.
Presidential documents.
Passed a law or an ordinance that you can't spray over the top of Tennessee. So if a plane flies over Tennessee tomorrow and disperses, who do you go after?
Again, this can't happen without DOD. It
That's,
can't happen.
That's
without the
BS.
Department of Defense being completely involved. We have government presidential documents, Senate documents. Clearly, that is a core of involvement. But those documents also call out other U.S. agencies as compartmentalized and involved in these programs. On the enforcement issue, obviously, that's all but impossible.
Right.
But we would argue if we can put this issue on the radar, and those in the shadows, like the NOAA scientist that said to my face, we all know this is going on, we don't know what to do. If we can provide enough cover for them to come out of the shadows, they will. And that's what this is about.
Well, and I think you being here today is putting this on the radar. So, I mean, I think that's why Chairman Cry brought you here. And like I say, my problem, I had an individual come up to me a month or two ago and saying that she had seen the video online of 2014 and this place was packed and, why aren't we doing anything? And I said, what do you want me to do? Who do I go to? Who do I talk to? Who do I go after? I mean, so that's my crux is it's a little difficult to enforce anything. I mean, if you believe it's going on, what do you do about it? And if you don't believe it's going on, well, you have a scapegoat because
no chemtrails in Tennessee, right?
Conundrum, but putting it on the radar does matter. When Tennessee passed a bill banning this over their state, that made international news everywhere. And it brought many other people to the table to start looking and investigating, and that's what we so desperately need.
Okay.
And that is definitely the goal here. Because if you looked at the full-page ad I put in the Searchlight in 2008 based on lab testing.
I mean, almost all of Tennessee is completely covered.
From peer-reviewed study, what that would do to root systems of trees, which are dying throughout the whole Western American forests. And we knew this would happen. It has happened. So again, it's about putting it on the radar, and that's what brings people like you and Kevin to the table as well, knowing, hey, if this is in our air column, this is a serious problem, we need to deal with it. If we can provide enough cover, there will be people from academia, because we're communicating with them. They need cover.
We watched it when we did the courthouse tour yesterday, and I was
you guys can see this, right? I mean, literally, like, I'm showing you.
They had short contrails behind them.
That Tennessee band did absolutely nothing. I'm looking at the Ramby slider right now on the Go 16, and there's the chemtrails. There are contrails right here. This is all contrail cirrus. It's not making a bit of damn difference whatsoever. They didn't stop anything. So this actually shows you what types of clouds they are. Water at surface, land surface, snow surface, glaciating cloud, low water cloud, thick high ice cloud, thin high ice cloud, thin mid water cloud. And you can just zoom out a little bit and actually see the types of clouds there are. And guess what? Thin high ice cloud, that's cirrus clouds. And you can see the stripes and everything. There's a big one coming through right there. Tennessee is still just as affected as it was before. Not much has changed, and they certainly can't enforce anything going on there. Mad Jeeper, you're the best, bro. You're a beast, man. 3 $20 super chats, literally holding down the super chat meter all by himself. God bless you, brother. I love you, man. But I'm just showing you, like, we look at these things on a daily basis and we see, you know, where the chemtrails are, the contrails, the aviation induced cloudiness, the cirrus clouds, and you can track this stuff in real time, or go back in the past and review the tail of the tape and just hop around. Go to Go 16, 18, or the Japanese Himawari, and you can go, you know, cross the pond and look over what's over there. 19's not operational yet, you know, fully, but, you know, refresh that thing. It doesn't like my date selection, so we'll go back. But yeah, I mean, we look at this all the time. It's a full disk image, and this is showing at night right now. Day cloud phase is what I'm using, and it's down here. So there's all kind of other stuff too. You can like sulfur dioxide and see what shows up. You usually have to refresh it, but that's the sulfur. That's the stratospheric sulfur. You want to look at it? There it is. Anyway, you got to have the tools to know how to find this stuff, but I don't think that they've actually rocked that out. Go to Dust EU MedSat, Jim. Yeah, I'm sure. How much longer do we have on this thing? Let me go. Oh, we're right at the tail end. Let's get this wrapped up, Jeff. I don't want to get too far into
water
it.
Vapor, they dissipated behind.
I do want to have Jeff on the show. We're going to do a show just with Jeff, the meteorologist, who is absolutely a beast when it comes to predicting where the contrails are going to form, when they're going to form, and we're gonna troll the shit out of some people in the future. So look forward to that when we tell you when the chemtrails are going to show up in a state near you and show you all the science behind it, from radio sign data to satellite information, how you can predict when you're going to have a cloudy sky based on commercial jet traffic, which you can track yourself. You can track the planes, you can track the clouds, and you can predict it with a pretty, at least like a 80+% accuracy.
Them, but you know, I have also seen the streaks across the sky that don't dissipate all day long. So there seems to me to be a difference. But I appreciate you being here, and I appreciate this bringing this attention. Thank you, Dane.
Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you, Supervisor Councilman. Supervisor Harmon.
Mr. Wigington, aluminum is not naturally occurring, correct, in our environment?
Free form.
Free form.
Very key term to understand. Aluminum is very abundant in our strata. And we have that used as an excuse that we should expect to find this in our rain, which is absolute nonsense. If there's free-form aluminum, it was mined and refined and dispersed, and it is a primary element named in climate engineering patents. Why would they use aluminum? And this is covered on film and on the record with presentation from the world's top geoengineer, climate engineer. Aluminum has a high albedo, high reflectivity, and a low coagulation rate. So the climate engineers have sought that as an element to use for solar radiation management operations, because that's the goal of those operations, to increase the Earth's albedo, the reflectivity. So that's why aluminum is their element of choice without any consideration.
Aluminum is not a geoengineering element of choice. Aluminum was briefly a element of choice. Sulfur is the #1 element of choice. Titanium and aluminum were on the table for a long time. And by a long time, I mean a period of about maybe 5 whole years. And there were many studies done on the toxicity of using aluminum for geoengineering purposes. And they quickly moved on. And even David Keith, when he was going to do his SCOPEX project, said that he was going to use calcium because, unlike sulfur, it wouldn't have deleterious effects on the ozone layer, violate the Kyoto Protocol. That's why sulfur, sulfur is what volcanoes do. Geoengineering stratospheric aerosol injection is to mimic what volcanoes do. Cool the planet through putting sulfur into the stratosphere. However, calcium has been the replacement for sulfur. So if they're not going to use sulfur, they want to use calcium. Aluminum, barium, strontium, titanium, all of these other chemicals that people are talking about are not in geoengineering proposals. Argue with me, disagree with me, all you like, but you better go check your references. I've read 90% of the peer-reviewed journal entries that these people write. I know the people who write them. I know who they write them for. I know who paid them to write them and what they say. And it's sulfur is number 1, calcium's number 2, and now there's a large discussion about diamond dust. I will be doing a video and an article on diamond dust geoengineering very soon. But aluminum and titanium have pretty much been taken out of the mix from every paper since about 2013. You cannot make this up. You cannot argue with this. This is a fact. Why he's still hanging on to aluminum as the geoengineering chemical of choice is at complete odds with all of the peer-reviewed science. Just saying.
Consideration of the consequences.
So when testing here, our water, our soil, we show, I just want this for verification, we show aluminum.
We don't test soil. We don't test soil for these elements because once something hits the soil, then you can't know where that contamination may have come from. We test precipitation. In regard to the soil, though, we do know these elements will change pH values. We do know it has changed pH values. I have the original USDA baselines in my possession from the 40s from a contact at USDA. We know the soil pH values have changed, and this is testing done with USDA soil scientists with me.
But agreeing with him, yes, there's aluminum coming down in the rain, and it is a problem. That's why I care about this topic, because it's a pollution problem. It is literally raining aluminum and all the metals. I showed you on that periodic table, climateviewer.com/cirrus clouds matter. There's the reference. There's the proof. It is raining on us. There is no protection for us. Nobody's even testing it from the government to tell us the truth about how much is coming down from jets. And to give you an example, in 2004, there were 23 million flights per year. In 2019, there were 43 million flights per year. The United States in 2019 used 17 million barrels of jet fuel, just the U.S. None of this is being talked about. All of it's this, sideshow of aluminum is being sprayed from secret pumps and pipes. Nobody but this channel is talking about jet pollution being a problem, sky pollution, plane farts making clouds, raining nanoparticles on us to the tune of 100 quadrillion ultrafine particles per second coming out of a 747 at 80% thrust. That is an issue. Nobody has the answer to how much environmental damage that would do. Zag says, so much appreciation, man. Always the best. Thank you, Zach. I appreciate the super chat. God bless you, brother. But nobody's talking about that, and I think that's the main problem.
Lake Shasta, pH values have escalated 10 times toward alkaline, from 5.455 to 6.566. That's an unthinkable change. It's because the precipitation is loaded with these toxins, and that has altered the soil pH value. And I do have the baseline, so we can speak to the pH. But as far as the contamination, it's in the rain, which means it's in the soil. Period.
Thank you.
All right. I just have a couple things. I appreciate you coming.
Thank you.
I think it's a conversation that, even just from some of the emails, I'm not sure who received what, but I think it's something that anything that's of public interest, and to me, health of everybody, especially health of our children, is going to be one of the most important things for me this year, is being able to focus more on kids. So I'm not sure I have better clarity in terms of those three, but it has given me a lot of information to look at. I am interested to learn a little bit more about, and Supervisor Kellstrom alluded to this too a little bit, jurisdictionally what we're able to do and what's even possible. But I really do appreciate you coming in. And when people talk about conspiracy theories, when Trump just recently is declassifying the JFK, the RFK, the Dr. King stuff, I want to see everybody come back in here when those are released, and that I want to see everybody line up and talk about, please talk about all the conspiracies, because I really look at myself as a very middle-of-the-road person who wasn't engaged at all 3 years ago until I was locked out of those doors. And I really feel like it's important to talk about topics that all of us want to know about, which is our health, wellness, our economy, and our safety here in Shasta County. So thank you for being a small part of that today. Thank you.
Kevin, if I could make one final statement in regard to those 3 children.
Yes.
Whatever the combination of causal factors were, the fact that they are breathing verifiably toxic air must be considered a part of that equation, period.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I appreciate that. Thank you. All right.
All right, the end. Now, they're breathing verifiably toxic air. Now, we can all agree on that, right? We can all agree on that. But what do we have in common? We all want clean water, clean land, clean air, clean skies. We want our sunlight. We don't want planes blocking it. We don't want to be poisoned, but at the same time, we can't be unrealistic about our expectations. We can't be blaming things without being able to prove attribution, causation. If you don't look at what's closest to you and rule that out before you go straight to it's the planes doing everything, explain to me then how Dane lives in Shasta and the air is so bad, but he's not dead. He's not sick. He's not falling over dead. Like the lady said earlier, all my plants have died, and it's not me. And the very next lady who came up said, all my plants are doing great, and my neighbor who has like a backyard homestead, they're doing great. And we live here. So these, absolutes, these absolute statements, what about the rocket farts? Exactly. Aluminum, barium, trimethyl aluminum specifically, barium, cesium, lithium, strontium are used in sounding rockets. This is another thing that nobody else talks about. It's involved in what's called space weather modification. If you go to weathermodificationhistory.com again, I'm gonna teach you guys how to use this damn thing. I swear to God. If you just go to weathermodificationhistory.com and you go right up here to the very top of the page where it says facts, frequently asked questions, there's a geoengineering page which will show you everybody who's involved in this, what SRM, ERM, and CDR are, so you understand the terms, but who's funding it, who's Ken Calderon, David Keith, what did they write, who's paying for it. Here's all of the organizations involved in geoengineering. Come over here to the weather modification section, learn about chemical and electrical weather control, download the PowerPoint presentation, see the 10 technologies to control the weather today. But space weather modification, most people don't know very much about HAARP or sounding rockets. And when you get right down to it, even LBJ said control of space means control of the world. And that's what we're talking about here, is these freaking sounding rockets, bro. These are sounding rockets, all right? And sounding rockets do put aluminum, barium, strontium, all of those things up in the atmosphere. In fact, if you want to see it right here, this is a trimethyl aluminum cloud at approximately 300 kilometers up into the atmosphere. Trimethyl aluminum sounding rocket from Poker Flat Research Range. And then here, this is a barium release from a sounding rocket, and that is a lithium release. And lithium is unique because it is the only one that can be used during the daytime. What does it look like? Let's look at all of them at the same time. I'm going to go all the way here to the end because they show it at double time. Right here, here's 5 times speed playback. You see the purple up top, that's the barium, then the strontium, and then the trimethyl aluminum at the bottom there. That's the little squigglies you're seeing. That's some strontium there, and it's the top one is mixed with barium. That's the blue that you're seeing. And then they're exploding again here. And finally, the trails at the bottom, which are trimethyl aluminum. That is sounding rockets. Now, if you refresh the page, I have a nice little screenshot of what they look like afterwards. So that's a before and after. This is the barium cloud at the top, the strontium here, and the trimethyl aluminum is in the upper atmospheric winds getting blown around. These are tracers. So there are many different sources of these chemicals that we're talking about when people refer to chemtrails. What the problem is that people don't dig deeply enough to figure out what the sources are and if it's even enough to matter. So I found this to be interesting. I think Dane made some good points. I think that he really missed the mark on others. I will at least do this. I will give Dane his flowers because at the end of the day, he has brought more awareness to the geoengineering topic than anybody else on the planet. Maybe with the exception of Michael Murphy, God rest his soul. What in the world are they spraying? Why in the world are they spraying? Dane Wigington has really brought a lot of attention to the topic. However, where I would say that there's been an issue is his denial of contrails and inability to answer very specific scientific questions and obfuscating and saying, well, it's all secret, so how could I know about it? NOAA has a gag order. No, they don't. I don't take money. I don't sell anything. I don't advertise. Yes, you do. You make money off of scaring people. That's always been my opinion. And the day we all agree is the day we could all be wrong. So opinions are like assholes and everybody has one. My opinion is, pretty much in that line that he's not so much interested in explaining the nuances of weather modification, geoengineering, space weather control, and contrail control. So I hope that we can get to a place where people start to really, want to understand more deeply what the hell is actually going on. Because then we can get to a place where we can see that, they are up to something. Shout out Misinformation for sending me this. This is literally from January 2025. The Contrail Research Roadmap from the FAA, NASA, and NOAA. But we'll go into that in another video and see what they're actually planning on doing. Thank you so much to everybody who hung out with me tonight. I did not think that this was going to go this long. This is also why I have not made that video where I go through and watch the dimming and then point out all of the things that give me pause, give me concern, because that video is 2 hours long, and according to the fair use rules, I would probably have to do 30 minutes at a time, and then even then, just like all of the content in that 30 minutes would probably take 2 hours to respond to. which I don't really want to do. Maybe one day I'll be coaxed into doing it or just be too bored and go, why not? But I'd rather, try to stop the friendly fire and just focus on the facts. And I think I did a pretty good job. Let me know in the comments, how'd I do? Did I stay, on the attack ideas, not people tip? Did I, was I digging at him? Because I don't believe I was. We just, there were statements. We fact checked some of the statements. Agree to disagree sometimes. And that's the way it should be with everybody, because the day we all agree is the day we could all be wrong. Thank you, everybody who took the time to watch this. I will post this to my Substack in the very near future. I got one video in front of that to put up on the Substack. That's about the geoengineering win we just had with the shutting down of the Arctic Ice Project. Want to give the references on that for our Substack. So we'll get these over there. Man, Jeeper, man, I swear, brother, every time I look back over my corner, there comes in another super chat from my brother. Bro, God bless you, man. I love you. Thank you so much. You are the best. Zag2 with another $2. Oh, my God. Thank you guys for hanging out with me all damn night. I know I'm going to regret this one in the morning. I got to get up at 7:30 in the morning and go to work. Man, I'm wheezing at this point. But, in breaking down, what's happening at these public hearings, I think we'll get a better understanding of how to do it better. So I want to make sure that, I try to collect as many of these. If you want to hit me up, jim@climateviewer.com, hit me up with an email. If you've got links to any of the other states that are trying to pass legislation, I already have the video for the Arizona hearing that just happened, for the New Hampshire hearings. I believe I have the Tennessee in my bookmarks, but I want to make a thorough list of all of those hearings and possibly even upload them all to my YouTube channel so that they are there for posterity. And then we'll point out the fact that, it is great virtue signaling. I'm actually all for it. But as far as enforcement goes, if you think that any of these laws are going to stop cirrus clouds from coming out of airplanes, you are taking too much hopium. This is a pollution problem. The only way to solve it is by calling it what it is: sky pollution. So let's do that. Oh my God. Lady Di Blue with a $2 super chat as well. Thank you so much, lady. I appreciate it. God bless you. God, man, you guys are making me smile. I have not had a super chat in like 6 freaking months. No joke. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Remember that, this is a complicated topic, and you really, if you want to educate others on this, then it's incumbent on you to understand it well enough to explain it simply enough. And if you ever do get the opportunity to go into one of these hearings like we saw today, be sure that you are armed to the teeth. You have your notes ready. You've done your practice, because as you saw, those people only got 2 minutes each to speak. You have to be very concise and make a compelling argument. And if you're Dane Wigington, who went first and last, you're going to get grilled. So you better have the answers in your head already. And some of this stuff, it's not going to be in your notes. It takes some memorization. I have provided all of that information on my 3 websites: ClimateViewer News, which is an archive of all my articles previous to 2019, weathermodificationhistory.com, an interactive timeline, 800 newspaper articles, 1,181 patents, ClimateViewer Maps, where you can find all of the different maps I have from, ionospheric heaters, missile defense radars, laser beams, and all the fun things, every nuclear reactor on the planet, every nuclear detonation. All of that is available at connect.climateviewer.com, including our Telegram chat. Please come over there and join us. Hell, why am I showing you this picture when I could just show you the damn website myself? I'll just bring it up on the screen real quick. So if you go to connect.climateviewer.com, you will see my websites across here, ways to support me. I got an updated version of this I'm working on. But yeah, there's PayPal, there's Patreon, Gibson, go and buy me a coffee. And I'm not being a greedy bastard when I put those up there. I literally had people say, I will not use PayPal or Patreon. Can you come up with something else? So I added Gibson, go and buy me a coffee because people didn't like that. You can also become a paying subscriber on climateviewer.substack.com, where you can see, all of my latest news. This is one of the videos I just recently did. And the top ones over here, clearly everybody loves this. U.S. Air Force admits chemtrails with adulticide, about spraying chemicals and how chemtrails are ruining activism. Top 2 articles on my website, on my Substack. Join our Telegram chat. It's always active. It's always popping in the Telegram chat. If you have Telegram and you're not in there, you're missing out. And YouTube, Rumble, BitChute, Odyssey. I need to get the Odyssey back going again because it's all screwed up. But anyway, that's what connect.climateviewer.com looks like right now. It's about to get a makeover because I already did it. It's, on my computer right now. But yeah, my email, my phone number, everything down here. And I design websites for other people because I design all my own websites. So if you want to support the channel in another really weird way, you could hire me and I will design a website for you at rednet.solutions. Link at the bottom of every single one of my pages. You can go to climateviewer.com, scroll to the bottom, and guess what you're going to see? You're going to see created by rednet.solutions. That's me. So if you'd like for me to create your website, like I did for my mixed martial arts studio, and you can see me right there photographing my sensei, I will make you a website because we need the money. Yes, Joyce, I did get the PayPal. God bless you so much. I am behind. I am very bad because I work 40 hours a week, and then I work when I get home, and then I work all weekend long on the property. My dad owns a trailer park. I get behind on things, and one of the things I definitely need to do is say thank you to the people who sent donations through PayPal. I'm behind on that. So I apologize for not sending you an email earlier, Joyce. God bless you. Thank you so much. Everybody, it's almost midnight now. We're at 2 hours and 48 minutes. I did not expect this to go this long. Thank you so much. Love you, mean it. And remember, this is a complicated topic, and a lot of times people are going to disagree, and they're going to come to the comment section. They're going to just say the word, shill, you sold out, you're a government agent, all of that. I'm Jim Lee in Sumter, South Carolina, from the finest double wide purchased by the Illuminati, telling you to attack ideas, not people. And I'll see you on the next one. Love you, mean it. If this video resonates with you, leave me a comment because I love hearing from y'all. First time here, be sure to subscribe and click the bell. Yeah! Remember, it would be impossible for me to do this without your support, so please join my Patreon or buy me a coffee on PayPal. And always, attack ideas, not people.
Kids are impressionable. That's why here at this station, we watch the programs and commercials your child watches carefully. He may see bad guys, but not in the role of heroes. And he'll learn that crime doesn't pay. Because your child's welfare is our concern, too. That's part of our code.
Better than anything you can get without a prescription. Anything. It's the best.